gentlemen, what's going on? Welcome to episode 157 of the It's Obvious Gaming podcast. I'm Preston Pugh, and I'm joined by my two best friends, Garrett Drake.
Gentlemen, it's nothing short of an absolute pleasure to be reunited at last.
And Jacob Alka.
Hello. Happy Father's Day to everyone.
Yes, happy Father's Day. Reunited, and it feels so good, as the song says.
Jacob's my papa, so happy Father's Day to you.
Thanks, son.
Daddy.
It's really nice of you.
Of course.
I wish my dad was here. But how's y'all's week been?
Exhausting, but a whole lot of fun.
Yeah.
To say the least. How about yours?
It was cool.
You guys killed it with that E3 coverage.
Yeah, we did okay.
Yeah, we killed it, dude.
I thought you did.
We talked.
We could have done
stuff.
nothing, but you guys covered all the conferences. That's great.
Didn't cover Nintendo, but
Yeah, well, whatever.
We never
Nintendo.
do.
No one cares about Nintendo.
What's funny about Nintendo is last week, our last podcast we did, I said, if the leaks were true, then I think Nintendo would have a fairly boring press conference. And the leaks were not true, and it was even worse than I thought it was going to be.
Oh.
If those leaks had come true.
I actually haven't seen it.
Which I don't want to say it wasn't bad, but it was missing a few things that I would have thought for sure would have been there.
like what were they? What were you anticipating?
I really thought we were going to see Metroid Prime, at least something. I didn't think that... I heard some people speculating that game was coming out this year, which I always thought that was insane to think that, but I thought we were going to see something. I thought for sure, I would have bet money that we were going to see a Fallout 3 Anniversary Edition for Switch.
It's a good thing you didn't bet money on Splinter Cell, right?
Yeah, good thing. It's coming, Jacob.
It is.
It's
We'll
coming.
see, you know.
Maybe
not.
It's coming. It's coming, Jacob.
Maybe.
It's not a maybe. It's happening. It's been
We'll
confirmed
see,
it's coming.
You know?
He's not... There's been confirmation that Splinter Cell's been in the works for years, and then Eve's coming out and saying that it is being... We'll see something. And I'm telling
you never know. What if Ubisoft just gets bought out suddenly? Vivendi just comes back full force.
Yeah.
After
Back
they
with
already
a new
sold their
army.
stock.
Yeah.
They're not bringing back Michael Ironside for Ghost Recon DLC. I'm sorry, that's just not happening.
They did.
It's something they did, but that's a small part of the bigger picture of him coming back as Sam Fisher. But as he said, he never left. But anyways,
I'm just fucking with you. It's coming back.
Yeah,
Of
okay.
course it is.
Thank you, Jacob. Gosh. But yeah, not to hate on Nintendo. I thought it was a fine press conference. Smash looks awesome, but I thought we would see a little bit more. But anyways, that's jumping the gun a little bit. But Jacob, how was your week?
That was fantastic. Had a really good week. Dude, you got rid of your wristband.
Yeah, I think it was a little uncomfortable. My Dying Light 2 sweatband.
Yeah, I can
When I'm
imagine
playing
it'd be hot
sports
in
and
this
stuff,
room.
dude. It does get hot in here.
Sweatbands are just kind of dumb because, like, what do they really do?
I guess they stop your
I gotta
hands from getting
soak your
sweaty.
sweat up. Yeah.
Like when you're playing basketball and
Fine, I
stuff, and you
guess.
grip the ball.
Yeah, you just
Don't
don't see
your
anyone
palms
wear
sweat,
it.
But
though?
your palms sweat anyway,
Yeah.
so knees weak, arms are heavy. Mom spaghetti on my sweater already. That song
It's my favorite
by
song.
Tupac.
Yeah. But yeah, I had a good week.
It's really
Is that what
good,
you're
Jacob.
asking me?
Yeah, I was
Did you pump
asking
some
you.
iron? Sure looks like you did.
Always. I always pump iron.
Nice.
Never take days off. Well, I never take weeks off. I take the
Mm.
weekend off, of course. You gotta have some time to rest.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to use this summer to regain some physical strength.
Oh, yeah?
because I'm so scrawny and weak now that lifting my suitcase was like an act of God.
Well, you
So heavy.
chose to lift it the wrong way. You got to carry it from the side handle.
Well, yeah, that too. But I mean, I'm still just, that used to be like a feather to me. And now I'm like, this is kind of heavy.
Yeah.
So I need to work out
I mean,
a
to
bit
be
more.
fair,
I've
you
just,
had quite a bit in there.
yeah, I've just had no time whatsoever for exercise in at least a year. Just been going nonstop every day. So I have a little extra time. I'm going to use it wisely.
I hope so, Garrett, because I care about you.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I want to
Jacob.
see you in tip-top shape.
I will. I'm going to try to return to the state I was in when you and I lived together.
Uh,
And you were my personal trainer. It benefited me greatly.
that's a loose term, personal trainer.
Well, it worked, man. I was that's the best shape I've ever been in, thanks to you.
I think I just kind of worked out and you just kind of did what I
I just
did.
copied you, yeah. And then I'd follow you around, running around for 3 to 5 miles
Yeah,
a couple
I
times a
convinced you
week.
guys to run with me.
Yeah, good times.
I think you did too a couple times, right, Preston?
Preston ran a lot too.
Yeah, no, I used to run way more.
Now, Zach, we never got out running with us.
Dude, I was so dedicated to running, I stepped on a nail at work.
I remember that, yeah.
And I was out that
You
night
still ran.
running with Garrett. Yeah. So
We were like,
I remember
that was not a good idea.
No.
it hurt so bad. But yeah, I was dedicated to running. But anywho, I know we have a lot of E3 stuff to talk about, but I know you probably didn't get to a lot of stuff this week, but I know me and Jacob played at least a few things. So before we get into the massive E3 dump, especially from Garrett having been over there, Jacob, what did you play this week?
I'll keep mine short this week. I played some more Overwatch. I played a little more Destiny, just doing weekly stuff in there, and playing more Rise of the Tomb Raider. The game is very fun to play. The narrative is just kind of sleeper. I'm just kind of not paying attention to it. It's not that entertaining to me. But I'm enjoying like all the different locations Laura's going to, and
did you get to
trying to find the whatever it's called, the I don't even know what I'm looking for, honestly, in the game. I'm just searching for something that has to do with the
I think
prophecy.
that's why I never finished it, because I just like did not give a shit by the end.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
Like, it was
like
fun.
It's fun to play.
Yeah, but by the end, I was like, okay, I get it. Like the narrative, I was like the big final set piece is like, all right, I get it.
And even in the first game, like I didn't really care too much about what was happening.
The story for the Shadow seems way more
interesting,
compelling to me with her having started the apocalypse. But
yeah, that's all I've done this week.
Have you got to the second hub area yet, or
I think
the
so.
non-snowy area?
Yeah,
you have. Okay.
Yeah. Is it you meet Jacob?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going towards the I think it's the cathedral, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
cool.
I don't know how far in the game I am.
Yeah.
You can maybe.
Rise is cool. I'm super excited for Shadow.
Let's take a moment to appreciate Tomb Raider in general in complete silence while I filter out this air.
Good idea.
As usual. We're back. I hate that so much. Every time we start this podcast, the air isn't going, so I can't get it out beforehand.
Cool.
I'm glad you're enjoying it, though.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, that's all I did.
Cool. Are you excited for Shadow?
Yeah. I don't know if I'll play it right when it comes out, but it'll be one of those games that I maybe like Origins is at this point where I just, it's going to be on my backlog and I will get to it eventually. But, there are other things that I'm more excited about.
I hear you. It all depends on if I beat Spider-Man within a week or not. If I jump into Shadow.
At the beginning of September, it's Destiny 2 Forsaken and then Spider-Man the same week. So those will be taking up my time. Yeah. And then I know later that month Shadow comes out. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Cool. But yeah, I played a few things. I'm still playing Fallout 3 and 4. Yeah, just still playing those. I'm still.
What dictates your mood to play whichever one?
3 and 4. I don't know. I'm just kind of whatever I'm.
Were you playing both of them at the same time?
Yeah.
What is wrong with you?
They're so different that it's just when I'm in the mood for just the setting or just the feeling that I get from either.
So I'm going to put you on the spot
a
little bit. What does 3 do that interests you in that more than like 4 does?
3 has that atmosphere of 3. Just 3
it's a lot more
so
like gray, right?
Dark and gritty, and I feel like the world is completely helpless in 3, whereas it also is decrepit and dark in 4, but it's a lot more lively. It also probably just has to do with there's dark. I mean, there are darker stories in 3, but just there's a lot more vibrant color in 4 that just it gives that like perception of it being just happier, whatever.
Yeah, that could also just be like a sign of the times, like that game 3 was made a long time ago.
No.
So
yeah, for sure. I definitely think that was.
Yeah, I can appreciate that you're playing both at the same time for different reasons.
And 3 just has that nostalgia. I just love just the music and just the feeling of playing 3 a lot. So it just and I really like the gunplay and the exploration of 4 a whole lot. So it just kind of whatever type of like gameplay I'm feeling determines which one I jump back and forth between. But playing those, I'm playing as a dedicated Brotherhood of Steel member in my Fallout 4 playthrough. Like I'm taking all the orders, pretty much just running around in all my power armor, making sure that it's the Brotherhood of Steel paint job. Just trying to act like a steel member the entire time, which I haven't done in a playthrough yet. So that's giving it some different story paths and stuff that I hadn't seen before. But anyways, so I'm playing that still. I picked up Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. I'm about 5 or 6 worlds into that game. That is a fantastic game. I love how it's crazy how almost each level has some sort of like a different mechanic to the game. I mean, it's something pretty small, but it definitely just mixes up the gameplay enough to where every world and almost every level feels fresh almost. So really cool.
His like shout every time he jumps into a level. He's like, oh.
Yeah. It's fun. The boss fights are really cool, so I'm really enjoying that game. Along with the Switch, I'm playing through the Octopath prologue demo. I think it's awesome. Playing as a thief, I'm enjoying it a ton. I am definitely going to pick up that game day one. Very excited. Just gives me a lot of nostalgia for just Super Nintendo RPGs.
And it looks phenomenal.
That I remember picking up as a kid, but I was too stupid to actually play through them. Yeah. So
I was hearing one of their developers speak on like one of the interviews that was happening at E3, and he like described it as a pop-up book, and I thought that was a really good description because it kind of does just look just like a pop-up book, and I really like it.
Now, one thing that is a little weird, it's definitely not gameplay breaking or like really annoying, but it was a little odd. Running around some of the towns, I would get some frame rate stutter.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I'm like, why am I stuttering? This game really isn't super graphically intensive or anything, so I don't really understand. Maybe it was just the demo and it. I don't know, but that was a little odd to me. But it by no means like ruined anything. I just thought it was odd.
Before you move on, Garrett, are you gonna play Octopath Traveler?
I might dabble in it. I actually spoke with the director and producer of the game at Nintendo at E3, and it was interesting what they were telling me, but
and he angered you so much that you don't want to play the game anymore.
Yeah, no. I mean, even the previous demo I thought was cool, but it's not necessarily for me. I need to like shoot guns and stuff, dude. I got you. That's pretty much it.
I hear you.
So shoot guns and play Madden is all I care about.
That's cool. So, I think it's just so cool. With just the 8 characters with their different backstories and being able to meet all of them along your journey, no matter who you pick to start out with. I just think that's really cool. And I like the combat. The combat's really fun. I love that whole boost gauge that builds up and the whole the armor set. I'm not going to get into it, but it is really fun. I've been playing. I got the expansion pass for Destiny. So I've been playing through the DLC. The only reason is because you have to have that stuff to play Forsaken. So that's literally the only reason. I just want to get through the story stuff of Destiny. And again, it's the gunplay's fun in that game, so it's fun to just, if I'm wanting to just shoot stuff and not pay attention to story or anything, it's fun to just
you should if you have it, you try using the oh god, what's the name of it? Damn it.
Is it a gun?
Can I see my phone? Yeah, it's a shotgun. It's like an exotic shotgun.
Imperial's Wrath.
Do they give it to you, or
no? It's like when you get an engram. You can keep going. I'll think of it.
So I've been playing that, and then I've been playing for about 2 weeks now. Vampyr. The most people I've heard say Vampyr.
Dealer's choice on that one.
Yes, I'll say Vampyr just to be different. Been playing that game. Really cool game. I think way too many people are shitting on that game like way too hard. Granted,
I don't see anyone talk about it.
Some of the reviews I've read and are crapping on the game and saying it's absolute garbage because the combat isn't the best thing on earth.
Yeah, it's not even really the focus of the game. It's just kind of part of it.
It's the combat, like I've said, it's serviceable. It's fine. But the characters and just the whole, just the decision making in terms of leveling up and stuff you have with feeding on people, and how it actually impacts the world is so freaking cool. And that's just really awesome about that game. So I can't wait to get back and play it. But
how many hours in are you?
I'm about 10 or 12, I think my Steam says.
How many hours did it take you to beat it, Garrett?
It probably took me 15 to 20, if I had to guess, somewhere in that range.
Wow. I'm taking my time though. I'm doing all the side quests. Like I think I just did one of the main big story missions. So yeah, I'm level like 12 or 13.
Yeah, I will say I think I ended on level like 38 or something.
Okay.
And I did a majority of the side quests, but there's a couple decisions I made that ruined everything for me. Just to say the least, I don't want to spoil it, but when the results popped up of the decision I made, I was like, oh my gosh. I cannot believe what I've just done.
Well, I made what I thought little decision in the beginning, one of the endings of one of the main story quests. And I don't want to say it, but I made a decision that I just really didn't think through, and I went to sleep and woke up and was like, "Oh, dang, I've ruined everything." But I think it's really there are people in this world that you really have to think about it's like a long-term decision.
It is,
as opposed to just the very, like, somebody may be doing something wrong, but
I typically chose not to feed on them instantly because I'm like, oh, I don't know how this is going to play out. I kind of want to see how it's going to play out first.
Yeah. Like there's a lot of doctors, and I've had this argument in my head, like this doctor is doing something wrong, but if I get rid of him or her, we're gone a doctor.
Yeah.
So it's like, do I need to put up with this or just solve the problem? And I tried to solve the problem really fast for one of these things, and it just spiraled into chaos. So,
and that's what I love, is that there's no turning back in the game. It's like you make this decision, you have to stick to it. So I love that. So
really cool. I think that's one of the few games with like decisions shape your experience, where it legit is like that's not just some like tagline, just just a buzzword that people say in promotion. It is for real. And so yeah, really cool game. I think if that interests you at all, I still think you need to give it the chance. The combat is not as bad as some people are making it out to be. It's not good, it's not bad, it's fine. But yeah, that's pretty much all I played this week.
Nice.
So
I played a whole lot of stuff
on the Switch.
On Switch?
Well, tell me, did you play anything on the flight?
I played Mega Man and Bloodstained Curse of the Moon on the flight.
Nice. Did you finish it?
I did not. I'm about halfway through.
Nice. Yeah, I haven't really touched it since
I was so tired on both flights that I just fell asleep halfway through them. Okay. But do you mind pulling up my list again, Jacob?
Oh yeah.
I remember the first couple, but yeah, I was at E3 again this year in support of COD Connected with 6 wonderful team members. It was a great honor and privilege to be there, and lifelong memories I will hold forever from both those conferences, but
nice.
Or conventions, I should say. But I played a lot of stuff, all for coverage. None of it was for pleasure, but I did take pleasure in experiencing them for sure. Actually, most of these are ones I've played. Some are ones I previewed, like behind closed doors and stuff, for like additional info and everything. Okay. The first thing I played was at EA Play. It was Battlefield 5, and I got captured for that. That's on COG's YouTube channel, and I was lucky enough to get some decent footage, a lot of good sniper footage as well. It felt awesome on PC, to be expected from Battlefield, but
was it just multiplayer that you did?
Yeah, it was just multiplayer. It was Grand Operations was the game mode, and I was always on offense. I think it was British forces, if I'm not mistaken. And it's so hard to tell because the history's so inaccurate in that game that, for all you know, it could be like Nazis and British soldiers fighting on the same side at this point. But you jump out of a plane, and it's straight up Battlefield 1 is what it is. I mean, it feels exactly like it. It looks like it, but it's awesome. It's super fun. I mean, I loved Battlefield 1, so playing it on PC was fun.
But you jump out of a plane? Like you parachute
at the beginning, yeah, you parachute out.
That's cool.
Yeah. And you're on the battlefield, and the only, the real new thing is, I mean, there's further destruction in this one versus Battlefield 1, where they've kind of revamped the destruction side of things, so that's awesome. But there's also how you can be downed and healed by anyone now. Obviously, the medics heal quicker, but anyone can drag you and heal you. Okay. And everyone was so clueless to this fact as they were pushing that in the advertising initially, that just no one ever healed me. And I was surrounded by 30 teammates when I was down, and no one would heal me. But I always made an effort to heal my teammates, and you get a ton of points for doing that. It's risky, obviously, but that's what's cool, is you can drag them behind cover and heal them. So I got to do that a few times. Gunplay, like I said, it just feels like Battlefield 1 in a World War II setting. or dystopian World War II setting, I guess you could say, with face paint and robotic limbs. Yeah. But it was a lot of fun.
Were there robotic limbs?
Not robotic, but like prosthetic limbs and stuff.
Okay.
Which apparently those existed too. I'm not going to say they didn't, but it's just odd, you know. Yeah. But gameplay was super fun, as to be expected from Battlefield. All the weirdness aside from it, I enjoyed playing that, so that was cool. Also saw they pronounce it Sekiro. That's how they're pronouncing it. I was calling it Sekiro, but Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice, the next game from Software.
Hype.
Oh yeah, I am. As soon as I saw that trailer, I was like, I get now why. I mean, obviously we were all initially. I was disappointed there wasn't a Bloodborne 2 or a Bloodborne sequel. Mm-hmm. I immediately was informed based on that trailer why I'm okay with it not being a Bloodborne sequel, because Sekiro takes everything that's great about Dark Souls and Bloodborne and kind of combines them into like an evolution of that series, where you have like this verticality to it and traversal with a grapple hook, and he has this prosthetic limb called a shinobi prosthetic limb is what they called it. Mm-hmm. And not only does he have the grapple ability, but he has all kinds of weapons and upgrades you can add to it over the course of the game, and you may not find all of them, because the point of this game is they want the focus, instead of being, okay, I have to move from this boss to the next boss to the next boss, they said, there, like past games, like in Bloodborne, for example, there are bosses you can miss, but depending on which boss you find and which path you choose to take through the world, that dictates which upgrades you receive.
It makes playthroughs unique.
It does, yeah. Everyone's going to have a slightly different experience, at least the first time through, until everyone figures out where everything is. They didn't go into too much detail about all the upgrades you can get, but two that you can see in the trailer and one they showed in the demos, like the axe that swings out of it, that's kind of good for heavy attacks against shields and stuff. Mm-hmm. And also it looked in the trailer like there was a gasoline ability where you can ignite your katana, which is pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And they said the combat is primarily focused on the tension between swords clashing. So they said, in addition to managing your stamina in combat now, you have to manage your, what's the word they use? No, your, what's the other word for stance? Your, I'm so brain dead. I wrote about it. It's on Cog's thing, but it's your posture. That's what it is. Mm-hmm. So in order to maintain your posture, you can no longer just hold the block button. Obviously, when you would take hits in Dark Souls and Bloodborne, you take a little bit of damage, it hits your stamina. That still happens, but also now, if you're not blocking precisely at the right moment, it ruins your posture. And if your posture depletes all the way, it opens you up to what they call a shinobi death blow, where the enemies essentially kill you in one hit. So it's you have to manage stamina, your posture, and your health, obviously. So I thought that was kind of cool. There's a lot of like back and forth sword clashing versus just like smacking the hell out of each other with your weapons.
That's cool.
So it's all based on like sword combat, like back and forth now. So that was awesome. I saw him use the grapple hook in combat, where again, if you deplete an enemy's posture, it opened up to like a grapple hit where he grapples this guy and launches to him and like wraps around his head and stabs him. Yeah. So stuff like that was really cool.
So you didn't get to play this, right? You just watched
I did not
someone?
know. Yeah, I watched like the From Software producer play through and everything. It's the coolest thing to see these Japanese guys like talking in Japanese this whole time. This guy translating for him. Yeah. It's just cool to see them doing it. Yeah. And so the traversal was really cool. How he's zipping around the world with the grapple hook, and it isn't like go anywhere with you want. There's obviously very clear points where you can grapple, but it isn't totally limited. Like there's many points you can grapple to and from. And they also said stealth is a huge part of the game now, because they said if you want to get the drop on your enemy, say. There's like 6 or 7 enemies on the ground. You can stealthily take out a few of them. So when you end up or inevitably wind up in that combat scenario, it's that much easier to deal 3 versus 6. So they're showing all kinds of cool moves where you could like grapple a guy and like hang him from a tree and kill him and like sneak up behind another one. Yeah. So that's what I was thinking. I was like, it's an awesome evolution of like what I love about Bloodborne and Dark Souls. And it's this brand new experience with not only like that Japanese setting, but the katana and like the swords clashing and the posture aspect and the traversal and the stealth aspects. I'm like, this is awesome. And they fought, I think they called her the something nun. She was heavily advertised at E3. There's a giant statue people are taking pictures with, but they fought that boss at the end and it was brutal. But I think what I love especially is the beautiful Japanese ancient Japanese setting, where it's just like a lot of nature and like these awesome Japanese castles. They said they intentionally wanted the world to be primarily gorgeous, but it's contrasted by like the dark enemies and like death everywhere, because it's a fictional setting, but it also takes place during a time in real history where there's a civil war. So there's like Civil War soldiers just dead all over the place, like scattering this beautiful land, and obviously the scary monsters. So they said it's that same darkness from like Dark Souls and Bloodborne, but like contrasted by this beautiful setting. Yeah,
that kind of presents itself as if like the evil has invaded this world.
Right. And they said that I think the character's name is Sekiro. I was a little unclear on that. They weren't too specific on a whole lot of things, but they said that this is a set character. You don't create your character in this game like the past From Software titles. So he's a set character with a story, like a backstory and a motive, because he's the servant of the young lord, that boy in the trailer who's kidnapped by his arch rival who cuts off his arm in the trailer. So his whole goal is to not only get the young lord back, who belongs to like an ancient bloodline, that's why the arch nemesis wants him, but to also kill the arch nemesis.
Oh, so I thought he was trying to find his limb. I thought that was the point.
Maybe that he wants revenge for losing his arm, but if you think about it, it's a nice trade. He does all these badass upgrades now. Like, not in real life I would want that, but in a game, like, I'll take that over a real arm, sure. So it looks really, really cool, and I'm super excited for that. So it's awesome. I also played Gambit mode from Destiny 2.
Ooh, how is that?
That's by far the most fun I've had playing Destiny multiplayer.
Yeah,
I mean, the whole game's multiplayer, but like as far as competitive multiplayer, I'm like, that is so fun. And I told you, it's stuff like this I want Forsaken to impress me to a point where I'm like, man, I'm considering building my character in PC just to get to that point so I can enjoy Forsaken. Obviously, it's in a very crowded time in fall, but that's something I will.
Same week.
Yeah, I'll want to dabble on that regardless at some point. But it was the funniest thing when I show up, because their appointment was in the Ritz-Carlton Hotel, and I get to the door, like the PR guy brought me to the door, and Deej is the guy that opens the door. I'm like, oh, what's up? He's like, oh, hello again. So I waltz in, and he's like, I look in there, and it's like two of the guys that worked on all the Halo trilogy were in there too. I was totally unaware that they were at Bungie still, and because they're not on camera as much as they used to be. It's like, oh man, the whole gang's here. He's like, yeah, let me introduce you to our snack bar. So he takes me to this bar where there's like drinks and snacks. He's like, what'll it be? He's like, I don't want you to hold back. He's like, please take something. Everyone keeps saying no. I was like, I'll have a Coke. So he like gave me a Coke and everything. It was funny. But the presentation was really nice, and we all got to play, all the media people got to play against each other with Destiny developers. So the mode was awesome. I'll do a brief description in case you don't know, but Gambit mode is where 2 teams of 4 spawn in 2 different realms on the exact same map, where there's a bank in the center of the map, and spawning around you are all these enemies. And this playthrough it was Cabal spawning around you, and
like each enemy or each team has a bank, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Each team has their own bank. They're in completely different realms. You cannot see the other team, with the exception at the beginning where you like stand across from each other.
You can like taunt each other.
Yeah. I was dancing and stuff naturally, but there's also gameplay on Cog's channel from when I was playing. They all the enemies spawn, and you kill them, and they all drop series of motes, and you collect the motes, and then you cash them into your bank. And the first team to, I think, a total of 100 or 75 wins the round. But there's a lot of catches to that. Now, I think it's when you score 25 motes, a portal opens that lets one of your players what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of my vocabulary today.
You like
teleport. You can teleport to
the portal.
Yeah, you can teleport to the enemy team's realm, and you see them in there. And what's cool about this is that you have an opportunity to kill other players and steal their motes and take them back with you, or just make them drop them so they can't score. So when you go in there, there's not a notification above you. There's not a health bar, so you're almost invisible. And they said you can literally blend into like Cabal and like get the drop on the enemy team.
Wait, I wonder if like their enemy Cabal would see you.
They don't. They don't at all. The enemies also ignore you.
Holy shit.
So you're like a ghost when you go
awesome.
in there. What's even cooler is that they give you this special visor that lets you see which enemy teammate has the most motes. So you obviously want to target that player, which is super exciting.
That's awesome.
So I managed to get in there and kill guys a few times, and it really messes up their progression. So you can kill them and steal some motes and go back. If you make it back alive, you have their motes you can cash into your bank. Now, what's more interesting is that I think it's every 15 motes a blocker spawns at each goal in the enemy team. So say your team cashes in 15 motes. Now a blocker appears at the other team's goal. Now the blocker typically appears as a fallen, not a fallen, what are they called? Forsaken or something? Taken, that's what it is. Fallen, Forsaken, Taken. Yeah. So a Taken spawns, but they don't drop motes. So you just have to deal with them, and they're like heavy blockers. So they're kind of like a goalie cashing in their motes. So they have to deal with that on top of having enemy players invade their realm. Yeah. So it's really fun balancing act, and like almost like a risk reward system where if you go into the enemy team and try to kill them, you can really blow it for your team because you're missing a guy, and that's just that. You have less of a player to bring down the boss at the end. So I think it's when you hit 75 motes or 50 motes or something, the Prime Evil spawns, which is the final boss. Yeah. And you have to kill that boss first, and whoever kills it wins the round.
Okay.
So it's
round based.
Yeah. It's best of 3, I believe.
Okay.
So the primeval spawns, and it's really fun, especially when both teams are fighting their primevals at the same time. There's always a notification to see what the progress of the enemy team's doing. So say you're in the middle of this boss fight with the primeval, you have an opportunity to go over to the enemy team and disrupt them. Now, if you go over there and you get killed, that's a lot less firepower in your team to deal with your own. So if you fail to kill anyone, you're just blowing it for your team. So it's interesting to see that risk reward system.
Yeah. And only one person can go, right?
Yeah. So it's super, super competitive and just really exhilarating to be like dealing with all these enemies and then like having players invade at the same time and having to deal with a boss and cashing in motes. And it's cool because it's almost a contest between your own teammates too, in a fun way, where who can cash the most motes on our team to be at the top of the leaderboard. Yeah. So not only are you competing with your teammates in a fun way, but also competing against the enemy team. And I thought it was just a brilliant blend of PvP and PvE, and it just totally fits Destiny. And I could totally feel the creativity and just originality of this because the two guys behind it are two guys that worked in the original Halo trilogy. I'm like, this doesn't surprise me at all.
I know the two guys you're talking about too.
Yeah.
They were in the
I think it's Scott and Lars are their other names. And I recognized them. I was like, I know those guys worked on Halo. And I asked them before our interview after we played, I'm like, you guys worked on Halo, didn't you? They're like, yeah, we did. I'm like, I'm sure you get this all the time. I'm like, you guys are legends to me. And they're like, oh, thanks, man. So it's funny. But they're super optimistic about it, and they said at launch, it's, again, in my write-up, I can't remember all the exact details, but I think there's 4 maps for Gambit, and there's also, or maybe it's 3 maps and then 4 different enemy types. So that's super cool. It was by far the most fun I've had playing Destiny in probably years. And I mean, I like the raid in the game, and I like the main campaign, but as far as Destiny
it's just like a whole new experience, right?
Yeah, this is by far the best thing to come to Destiny 2, I think.
So before you move on, like, what kind of loadout did you use? Because you can use any kind of loadout.
Correct. I used, I think I had I had a pulse rifle, a sniper, a rocket launcher, I think.
So you put a sniper in the second slot. Nice.
Yeah. Do sniper rifles still use power ammo?
I don't know.
I didn't notice that. I didn't pay attention to the details of that, but I can't remember.
I'm not sure.
Okay. So,
because that
was awesome.
I know if you put like a shotgun in every slot, you don't use primary at all. So I'm not sure if the green block comes into effect or what. Yeah. But yeah, we'll find out when we play it.
Yeah, it was super fun. I'm genuinely excited for Forsaken, and that's what's great about that. That's just a single slice of like the Forsaken pie.
Yeah.
So it's great. I also played Spyro, as well as Crash Bandicoot, but was so pointless they let us play about 45 seconds of the new Future Tense map. It's like you can capture it too. I'm like, who cares about 45 seconds? It's funny, it was like a minute and a half, but it got a ton of views on COG's YouTube channel. So I guess there's like a really big Crash Bandicoot crowd for COG Connected or something. But played Spyro. It was incredibly nostalgic, naturally, like I expected. I'm trying to think of some of the more interesting information they shared. Most of the sound effects are all the same from the original, except they were all missing a lot of high and low end because they were all just like super old, and the way they recorded was pretty crappy back in the day. So they took all of the original sound effects and blended them with re-recorded ones that have additional high end and low end. They really went into the technicality of it, like the visuals and the animations and the sound design. They said it's very much the same game, just completely just revamped with stronger sound design, better animations, and they even collaborated with some of the original designers as far as designing Spyro's run animation, and that's how they determined how he like kind of like gallops how he does now, and it looks pretty cool and it sounded great. It looked awesome, and the levels I played were treetop, high and flying high or something, and another one I can't remember, but I'm mostly just looking forward to the original Spyro, and because that's the one I played the most. I dabbled in the other two. I don't think I ever finished them, but the first one I played the crap out of as a kid, and I'll play and probably enjoy. Very simplistically, you're just blowing flames and collecting crystals and saving dragons, but all the original voices are back too, so
nice.
It's great, and Spyro sounds awesome, but I had a lot of fun with that. I played Forza Horizon 4 in the actual car machine at Xbox's showcase. Ooh. Dude, if I could own one of those, I would play every Forza game ever made. It was the coolest thing ever. It was, I mean, I'd been in obvious stuff at like Dave and Buster's and crap like that back in the day in Chuck E. Cheese, but this was like the real deal where like the whole thing moves and like shakes violently, and you can feel like the tension in the steering wheel and everything, and the brakes. They set it to very easy because I kicked ass in this thing. I'm like, this is definitely set to easy because I never raced this well in a car game, but it was super cool. The demo takes you through all 4 seasons, you know, winter, spring, summer, and fall. Yeah, and they were not kidding. It feels completely different. Like when you're going across ice and snow, it was much more slippier and slipperier. It was more slippy, I should say.
More slippy,
yeah. And The fall I didn't notice a whole lot. It just looked really beautiful. Same kind of with summer, but
yeah, I really love how they said in their conference that the season changes every week.
Yeah, it was spring. Now I remember it was raining heavily and it was tougher to go across terrain and stuff. But naturally, it looks absolutely gorgeous, and that driving machine was so cool. It was like, man, if someone would just give me one of these, I would be very happy. I can imagine how expensive it is, but it was cool.
Yeah, Forza Horizon 4 was one of my biggest surprises this year at E3.
About how so?
Just that I'm interested in it. And as you know, I'm not really that big into racing games, but this one just looked really cool to me, just with its persistent, like online, just joining up with people, just seeing them, and just from the season changes, pretty much all you said, it just looked really cool to me. And again, with it being available on,
you guys hear that?
Someone upstairs running.
That clicking noise in here.
Yeah.
What is that? I mean, it's shaking because the ceiling up there, but I don't know what's clicking over there. It's annoying.
But the
it's like a metronome.
It's probably your mirror on the wall.
What was I saying?
Could be.
With this game being on Game Pass, I'm actually going to try it.
Oh, me too. I have 2 free years when you guys want one.
Oh, nice. Dude. So much Sea of Thieves.
It's funny, yeah. They were handing those out when we were in line for Xbox's showcase, and it was like, man, a whole year of Game Pass. And then another person came by and didn't realize we already had one. We all took another one because we're some stingy bastards like that. But so that's nice. I bet they expire at some point though, so to use them quickly.
Yeah, Game Pass is great for this and Crackdown games that I don't really want to drop.
Okay, I gotta find $60
on it. But Jacob, what was your biggest surprise from E3? Something you really didn't think you'd be into?
That's a good question. What surprised me at E3? I really don't know, Preston. I got nothing.
All right, thanks, man.
No problem.
What game are you hyped for the most after E3?
Oh my god, probably Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
trailer just got me super excited.
Pretty pumped for. You've been reading all the.
I've been reading everything for it.
Demos and stuff. That's really cool, man. Maybe, hopefully, we'll see some of that at Gamescom.
I hope so.
That'd be really cool.
When it's ready, I don't want to see it. When it's not ready, I want them to take their time.
What are we talking about?
Make a phenomenal game.
I want to see it now.
What are we discussing?
I'm fine.
I don't need to
not
see that people
ready.
are saying it's great. That's fine for me. I can wait.
No, I want to see it. I think you want to see it too.
I do want to see it.
Okay, thank you. Cyberpunk.
Oh yeah. I also played Ori and the Wheel of the Wisps.
I got that for $9 on something.
Ori and the Blind Forest.
Yeah,
cool. Yeah, people love that first one, and I obviously dabbled in the demo for Wheel of the Wisps.
Yeah, but I bought Ori and the Blind Forest because I was interested in the next one. So
nice. Yeah, it was super fun. It was a very tricky platform. I had to get used to the mechanics of that game, but some of the all of it apparently was new. Like the combat was revamped, and some of the traversal stuff was tweaked. The lady describing it to me was telling me all about the new features and everything, but it was very, very beautiful, and made me want to pay more attention to the original because people have just been raving about that for so long. I don't know when I'll ever get to that. But
this is gonna be on Game Pass too, right?
I believe so. So again, that's something to dabble in.
Mm-hmm.
That is my door squeaking over there, by the way, from the treadmill upstairs. It's quite unfortunate. It's awful. But, Ori was fun. It was plagued to death with bugs, though. Oh. It's weird, though, because some of them, the demo machines were fine, but mine was plagued. The same thing when I played Soul Calibur, which...
Did you play as Geralt? I did.
Geralt.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, then I hopped over to Soul Calibur, and it was all in 4K. I think just the one machine we were on was just struggling because all the other ones were fine, but the one I played on was like in slow motion or something, and everyone was complaining about it. You're
talking about Ori or
Soul Calibur? Okay. I mean, Ori lagged a lot for me too, but not all the machines were lagging. It was just the one. I mean, maybe I'm a plague going to the machines. I told you, technology does not like me.
Xbox, dude.
Yeah. Maybe you don't know how to play games.
Yeah, exactly. But Soul Calibur, when it did work, was awesome. I played as Garrett. He has all of his classic lines in there, like challenging a Witcher. You must have a death wish. So, stuff like that's great. And I'm awful at fighting games, and again, had my ass handed to me by a kid who's very familiar with Soul Calibur. So, of course. But I just told the guy. I was like, I'm going to pretend I was playing as your character for our capture when we upload it. But we got a lot of capture for that. But Soul Calibur is cool. I mean, I've only played 2 and 3, I think. I may have dabbled in 4. I'm not like a hardcore Soul Calibur fan, but I've enjoyed them in the past. So it's cool that Garrett's in it. I'm not going to pick up the game, but I had fun with it, despite losing terribly. I played a game called Sleep Tight, which was it's an indie game coming from, I can't remember their names, but it's essentially a wave-based survival game where you're this little kid in his bedroom, and you have a Nerf gun. And at night, monsters spawn. You have to fend them off with your Nerf guns. But over time, you're building up like pillow fortifications and unlocking new Nerf guns and ammunition. You have to craft ammunition and stuff. It's a tiny little fun wave-based survival game. But the more interesting aspect of that is to promote the game. They had that, I sent you guys the picture, where you can go into this survival room where you basically do just that. You're the character and you have to fend off these monsters with actual Nerf guns, like really high-powered Nerf guns. I mean, these things would kill someone if you shot them in the eye. It would blind someone. It was intense. I was like, I didn't know they sell Nerf guns like this. I think it's like the teenage ones called Nerf Extreme or something. Yeah. But they let you choose the outfits of the characters. And one of my teammates was like the cowboy kid, so he had like a cowboy costume on. But I saw this pink wig and a purple tutu. I was like, I got to throw that on. It looks ridiculous. So I had the pink wig on, the purple tutu, and they filmed all of it and edited all of it. I have the whole footage. I'm going to infuse it into like the vlog I shot the whole week. So totally stupid, but I went in there and shot monsters with a Nerf gun. It was awesome. And I won. It was cool because a wave would happen. You'd kill all the monsters and then the lights would come back on. Oh, daytime's here. And they'd have like a glow in the dark key on the ground. I have to take the key and unlock like a box that would give me a map and take me to the next clue in the escape room. So it all ended up me finding all these clues and then getting an upgraded fully automatic Nerf gun, and then at the end I built a turret out of it with these materials that they would spawn for you. So it was kind of a cool way of advertising their game, and it definitely stuck out to me because of that reason. Was that funner
than the game?
Yeah. The game was pretty simplistic. Granted, I was only into like wave 3 or 4, so I'm sure over time maybe it gets more interesting. Was this
first person?
No. It's like an isometric, like top-down type look while you're playing. But it ran very well. It was a cute little idea, but they also gave us a free t-shirt that's incredibly comfortable. I gave it to Casey. It says Sleep Tight on it, which I thought was so fitting because it's very comfortable to sleep in. Oddly enough, though, there was a gentleman there cooking food for everyone if you were hungry, and we were all starving at this point in the day, so he was cooking blue macaroni sandwiches. Ooh. So it was imagine macaroni and cheese on a sandwich on like a toasted ciabatta bread. I was like, that sounds great. But
sounds good.
But it's blue. So I'm eating this sandwich because we're starving, and the more I eat it, and the more I start to analyze these blue noodles, I'm like, something isn't right about this to me. And just the more I ate it, the more disgusting I felt, so I ended up throwing away the rest. But
yeah, cheese shouldn't be blue.
Food dye.
It probably was, but the thought of it being blue just freaked me out. Yeah. And I also realized that LA, I guess, has a unique fascination for blue noodles because Sony at their press conference also had blue noodles. It was a different kind of noodle, but they were blue. I'm like, what's with all the blue shit? And there's some other place there's blue noodles. It was really bizarre. But,
was it just blue noodles? Like, what was the food?
They were blue. What's that? Those noodles that you get at like Chinese restaurants.
Ramen?
It wasn't ramen.
Lo mein?
Lo mein. That's what it was. It was blue lo mein.
That's weird.
Obviously, Sony's blue. We'll make the noodles blue.
Yeah, clever.
Lo mein is good.
Yeah.
The kids will love this.
Anyway, speaking of Sony's press conference, I'll go into that a little bit. We piled into the church that was revealed in the Last of Us 2 demo. Mm-hmm. It was really confusing because obviously in the past you see these like sprawling coliseums where the Sony presser's happening. I'm thinking the one year I go, it's in this piece of shit.
Dude, I literally thought that.
Yeah. It's like, man, they really downgraded heavily this year. So we go in there and Sean Layden comes out and the banjo guy comes out. It's like, bang, 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 bang. I'm thinking like, what the hell? So, and then the trailer starts and then you realize that we're in the actual church. We're like, oh, that's kind of cool, I guess.
That's cool.
Demo, of course, was pretty intense and very beautiful. We'll share our thoughts on that later when we talk about specifics, I guess, of all the games. But they then transferred us across the way into the actual like seating area in the big tent. We had a giant screen, which I was going to ask. I've heard rumblings that they just played like commentary and like trailers and stuff during that transition period.
They had like a desk. and they were talking, and then they were showing trailers.
Was that like frustrating to like have to wait all that time? I'm thinking that even, I mean, it was kind of cool that they were transferring, because as soon as you leave that church, it's like the Japanese area where there's like the bamboo and like the flowing river and everything.
They showed like a little bit of B-roll of that, and that was cool.
Yeah, and they had like really cool atmospheric audio going on that makes you feel like you're in that area with like wind blowing and trees rustling. So it was kind of cool when you get into this big theater and they have the giant screen. And funny enough, Hideo Kojima apparently was like 10 feet away from me, because Jake Baldino, who I've yet to meet, was there, and he took I don't know if you saw on Twitter, it's the funniest thing, where he took a portrait mode selfie. And whenever you take a portrait mode and on iPhone, it takes the portrait mode with like the shallow depth of field, but it also gives you a greater depth of field, so you can see like the two different versions. And he said, it's funny, I took this selfie portrait, and days later I didn't realize that Hideo Kojima was like right behind me, because when he removed the blur, he's like three seats behind him. He's like, damn it. That was pretty funny. But
the thing I don't understand is like, it was cool, but like,
what was the point?
Would it have been much less cool if they just showed The Last of Us
in that theater? I thought about that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I really don't see the point of that. Like, yeah, it's a cool experience to be like, yeah, I was there and it was kind of fun.
But was it worth that much trouble?
Yeah, I mean, it took like 30 minutes to get everyone seated in that theater. And even for everyone there, I'm like, this is a drag. I mean, it was, again, the idea was kind of cool, but I think in the long run, it was like not really worth it for everyone involved. But I'm glad that we didn't have to get up again, because I was worried we'd have to go from place to place, because you could see kind of over a ridge there was like a New York City section. I was like, obviously for Spider-Man,
for every game it was gonna be a themed area or something.
I was worried about that too. It was like, I'm like, I like the idea, but I want to get up and move. And it was nice to sit too, because we had to stand for Last of Us the whole time.
I was scared about that too. I was like, dude, is this press conference going to be like 20 minutes if everybody's standing up or something? I was a little worried about that.
So we sat in that big theater, and obviously they played all those other demos and trailers that were awesome. But we'll talk about all those games in a bit. After that, at Sony's after party conference thing.
Shoney's was there?
Shoney's. Nice. Catering, of course. But they had the only games playable, or the only game playable was Spider-Man. And of course,
what else do you need, man?
Yeah, the moment I saw that, I was like, holy crap. And I was kind of mad at myself because I didn't know where the exit was of that theater, but everyone that was on the right side of the theater got to get immediately to that demo. So I waited in line for an hour to play Spider-Man. And it was totally worth it, man. Of course, I was super excited to just be waiting there the whole time. And my teammates were just walking around like eating and stuff the whole time, but I didn't care. I had to play that game. So, demo begins. I won't ramble on about this because we can talk about it more later, but it feels so freaking good. It feels just as good as it looks. I wrote about this too on COG's website. I gushed about it completely, and I was critical in some points. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but there's some places where I was like, oh, this didn't blow my mind, but the web slinging, man, at the traversal was like absolutely outstanding. The moment Spider-Man, I'm sure all of you have seen the demo by now. They're demoing on the show floor and stuff all week, but when he leaps off that building, just immediately feels so good when you're diving and you can shoot a web. And what I was hoping for most does exist. You can hang on to your webs as long as you damn well please. So I would shoot a web, I would swing super deep and get to my peak, and I would launch off and then dive straight down and then shoot another one. Just go slow and steady like that. I really like swinging like that. But of course, you can also go quicker if you want, where you can swing and then charge your swing and let go, and you'll go much faster and project forward. So it felt amazing to just be doing the deep swings and then transfer into the faster pace swings, and then running along buildings and then zipping to and from points is super easy because you shoot webbing with R2 to swing, and then you tap R1 to like dart from place to place. So you're always in this like rhythmic momentum that never stops unless you choose to stop it, or if you just suck at web swinging, which I goofed a lot at the beginning, but I got used to it after a while because it feels very physics based too, because you know you're actually sticking to buildings, and you can feel the weight of Spider-Man just like diving deep and swinging heavily and everything, but you feel almost like a feather when you're zipping around everywhere. So it's great. So you can be zipping from point to point. If you want to take a perch and kind of like analyze your surrounding, you can just hold L2 and he'll go to a perch point and just sit there. So it was fun. I engaged in a whole lot of combat as well. I think it was a bunch of Kingpin's goons. It's at a construction site, not unlike the one we've seen in the original demo, similar to that. But I snuck around and web bombed a few guys with some web mines that I set up, which is cool. And then you get in a fight. Feels very Batman Arkham-ish without the countering mechanic. You can just dodge. But of course, Spider-Man's animations are breathtaking. He looks super cool, and it feels very buttery smooth to be jumping around, engaging with the environment where you can just like pull down some rafters to fall on some guys. You can do this a strike attack where you web a guy and just like launch towards him and attack him. And you can take guys and spin them around and throw them into other guys. I mean, all of you guys have seen this stuff, but it felt very good to play is what I'm trying to say. And then using your web abilities where you can just spam the web balls to web someone up to kind of temporarily disable them. It's kind of cool throwing a web grenade where you can actually aim with L2 if you want to. If you have a moment to spend time doing that, if you're not surrounded, you can throw one at a guy. So that was cool. There's also a launch ability where if you hold square, you can launch a guy in the air and then do like an aerial combo and then slam him back down. So combat was pretty cool. There's a few open world like random events I participated in. If you pull up your HUD, you can see just markers everywhere to do stuff. If you want to do side quest or do a specific collectible thing, there's markers everywhere. I didn't know what everything was, but there's a ton of stuff to do apparently in this area. I stopped a convenience store robbery, which again was just more combat. Was kind of cool, busting into the convenience store and fighting the guys. And then immediately there's a truck carrying a bomb blazing down the street. So I chased after it, web slinging, which is super cool to swing after it, and then landing on the truck. And it isn't totally dissimilar to stuff you played in the past with Spider-Man, where they're trying to shoot you through the roof of the car and you're just kind of dodging from side to side. But it's definitely far more cinematic and beautiful to behold than past Spider-Man games. Or in the previous ones, you would just like punch the crap out of the roof and then like throw a guy out of the car. But it's pretty cool to jump from side to side where the camera angles change and you're punching everyone. And the final attack is cool too, where you kind of do this jump ability and you swing through the front windshield and kick the driver out of the seat and then land on the street, and you have to fight the rest of the guys. And you have to do, there's a timer attached to it too, and that sequence begins. You have to defeat the guys, and you have to take the bomb and then web it into the sky and have it explode before it goes off.
Yeah,
that was cool. Again, I just swung around for a while and then I went and fought Shocker. The boss battle was pretty cool. It wasn't super challenging, but you were in total control the whole time. In that specific boss fight, there were no quick time events. I was swinging around when I wanted to swing. I was dodging when I wanted to dodge. And he had multiple phases, or 3 phases, where he was doing different attacks. But yeah, just the presentation was beautiful to behold. It ran buttery smooth. It's actually one of the very few games I played at E3 that wasn't buggy as hell, believe it or not. With the exception of Destiny. Destiny was pretty smooth too, but yeah, it ran well. It felt so freaking good to traverse it. I mean, everything I wanted to do, he reacted perfectly to it. I mean, that's to be expected with Insomniac, especially coming off of Sunset Overdrive. I mean, everyone was expecting the traversal to be one of the stronger aspects of the game, but yeah, beautiful, feels amazing. Combat was fun, boss battle was cool, and of course the voice acting and banter between Spider-Man and the goons and Shocker was just super nostalgic and enjoyable. And we all saw that beautiful showcase demo as well with all the villains, so a whole lot to look forward to in that. And I almost cried playing the demo. I was so happy to be playing it.
That's really awesome.
And the fact that I got to write about it too. Felt very privileged to be doing that. So that was amazing. That's probably one of the highlights of the trip for me by far. Played Tomb Raider, Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Got a closer look at that too behind closed doors with Jill. Can't remember her last name, but she's actually the lead writer on this one. I think she's from Eidos Montreal. But she was super cool, and she kind of talked about the specifics of the open hub of the area. It's in Peru, and they say it's the biggest hub out of all the games so far, full with crypts to discover, challenge tombs.
I'm really enjoying the challenge tombs in Rise.
Yeah, so and what's exciting about this, if you enjoy this, they said challenge tombs and crypts both are far more in depth and larger than they have been.
That's awesome.
Which I'm happy about. Yeah, so I'm glad, because I always like those too. But you go in there, it's like a single room, maybe one puzzle, and you're like, okay, I got my treasure. She said now there's multiple rooms to go in. There's multiple challenges, and there's always different treasure at the end of each one, which is awesome. Of course, there's NPCs to engage with quest lines and everything. One of the bigger parts are the outfits you can acquire now. I don't think they have abilities. Again, they weren't totally specific on this. I think they're just cosmetic, but if you
I'm sure, because I know in Rise, some of them have abilities.
Yeah, there's like unique little aspects to them, but they said this time, instead of just, oh, here's a brand new outfit for Laura, you have to actually find all the unique pieces, and some of those require you exploring the open world and finding a challenge tomb, or going into a crypt, or completing a side quest. It isn't, and I think there's crafting materials too.
Does it tell you how to get them?
I don't think so. I mean, there might be a quest line that kind of dictates how you acquire certain pieces, but I think it's cool that all the pieces are kind of spread out over different aspects of the game. It isn't just, oh, play through the story to get all the outfits. It's do a side quest for one piece, do a challenge tomb for another, and maybe there's like a hidden chest underwater somewhere where you find a crafting material you needed to complete this outfit. So in our demo, she was wearing a Mexican, like Aztec inspired dress, which I thought was funny to see her running around killing bad guys in a dress. But it looked cool to see her in a different outfit like that. I like having cosmetic options in games. But so they showed the open world aspect. Peru was gorgeous with like the flowing rivers and the giant mountains and temples, and they showed us a couple challenge tombs she went into. And then they transitioned into the jungle bit where she's stealthily taking out guys. And I love how when you go into a stealth area, she purposely just cakes herself in mud. So she's covered in mud. And obviously, which I haven't seen this before, unless I'm mistaken, obviously you can hide in bushes like every other stealth game ever, but you can also hide in those vegetation walls. So there's like walls you can shimmy against that have like heavy shrubbery that you can hide in, which is pretty cool to see her pop out and grab someone. And I love the ability too with a grapple hook to grab a guy and like hang him from a tree. So she's very much like a visceral, like almost like mountain, like not mountain, like a cougar or like a panther or something in the jungle. Very brutal too. I like not only in the narrative, but in just the gameplay, she seems darker in that sense. But that was pretty much the behind closed door demo. They just talked about how much broader in scope the game is and kind of how they're exploring her dark side and blah, 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 blah. But then I got to actually play the game, which is an entirely different sequence, which was in a giant, I think it was a narrative tomb where she actually sets off the apocalypse. So the tomb itself was fun. There's a bunch of swimming sequences. I think they wanted to emphasize the underwater stuff intentionally because apparently fans were asking for more underwater bits in the game that I was unaware of. Because in any game, I've never really played a swimming sequence where I'm like, that was awesome. I want more of that, please. So that's what I was concerned about.
I always just thought like the breath mechanic underwater is just annoying.
Yeah, see, that's what I was concerned about. But I think the reason why they wanted us to experience that is because they wanted us to know how good it actually feels. And I actually wrote about that in my coverage. I'm like, I was concerned at first because I've never asked for any swimming sequences, but they were fun because they not only did she feel very good to control, where you can easily dive with, I think it's A, and then or submerge with A, and then ascend with circle. I'm thinking Xbox. I was using an Xbox controller, but X and circle are B. A and B with Xbox. Oh, okay. But diving and ascending super easy. It felt fine, and controlling her was very simple. It didn't feel clunky or like it wasn't inverted controls or anything. If you wanted to go down or left and right and side to side, it was very easy. But what's good about it is that it's very Tomb Raider-esque. I feel like it wouldn't be Tomb Raider without like the tension and brutality of it. So obviously you can die terribly underwater. Like I got attacked by an eel at one point and I practically crapped my pants at the demo station. So it came out of nowhere, and the headphones are always so loud on these demos and they don't let you turn them down. It's like deafening every time you play them. Like, we want you to hear every little nuance of the audio. But an eel attacked me. There's one point where these spikes came out and stabbed me to death and I died horribly. I like spears through my head and my neck and everything. And there's also time bits where you have to escape through like tight crevices. And I always think, I'm like, imagine if Laura was just slightly fatter than this. She'd be screwed. Yeah. She's lucky she's as slender as she is to fit through these tiny cracks. But it's cool to go through that. Some of the platforming stuff is really cool. There's actually platforming puzzles which I thought were fun. There's like all these elevated platforms. You had to figure out how to properly elevate them to get across this cavern. So the tomb was giant. It was beautiful. A lot of fun puzzles in there. And then at the end, she steals the dagger. And the demo was cut up to kind of just speed along the process, where in the real game, you'll probably play more through the escape through the tunnel. But when I stole the dagger, it was kind of like a montage of like the gameplay showing how you escape, and kind of like a cutscene of where you get to this space where you can stealth kill some guys. All the combat felt exactly like it does in the previous two games, which I don't complain about. It just feels very familiar. The only new thing was obviously the walls you can hide in. And that was pretty much it. But the stealth felt good. It was fun to sneak around and use the bow and her knife and everything. Gunplay felt exactly the same as well. And this isn't a complaint. You and I were talking about this. It's the little details that set games like The Last of Us apart and stuff from games like Tomb Raider, whereas Lara Croft carries like 4 weapons, and the only one you see is the one that you're have equipped that's on her back. I almost wish again, I don't even know why I'm talking about this because it's pointless, but I almost wish that in this Tomb Raider they take a more grounded approach where you have to choose your loadout. Like, I want my handgun, I want my bow, and I want maybe a rifle, and that's always on her back instead of carrying a shotgun, a rifle, a bow, a handgun, and a knife. I wish I had to pick which one I wanted to use. But that's besides the point. But gunplay felt exactly the same, nothing new there. Which again, feels fine. It just isn't fresh. But I think the fresh aspects ultimately are Laura's story is much more interesting this time around. Again, it's a tired trope like, this is my dark chapter. But I'm open to exploring Lara Croft's dark chapter because we've never seen that before. So open to that. It's kind of cool. I liked the dramatic dialogue between her and Jonah when she steals the knife. And not only does she steal it, but she loses it to Trinity and the bad guy. So they have control of it now.
Yeah. I thought Jonah died.
I thought he did too, but apparently he's back. I swear
he died.
Maybe they're like, well, fans like him, so we got to bring him back.
Oh, sorry.
I really don't care.
But it was interesting too, because even the bad guys are like, what the hell have you done? Like, we're not even trying to steal this for, I mean, it's Trinity. They probably have a hidden agenda, but they're like, we're not even trying to steal this to like do anything. They're like, you're an idiot for stealing this. We wanted to protect this thing, and now you've set off the apocalypse. And it was kind of harrowing too to see Laura jumping through this Mexican city where like a flood's happening, people are drowning and buildings are collapsing and everyone's dying around her, and it's her fault.
Oh wow.
And she gets to Jonah where there's like this safe haven and like people are like dying and like bleeding horribly, and it's like all her fault, and Jonah's like so pissed at her, like, what have you done? And she was like, Trinity has the knife, I have to get it back. And it's kind of cool in the trailer too. The trailer's pretty badass. This is the scene from the trailer where she's like, I'm the only one that, and he cuts her off. He's like, the only one who can what? And then the trailer cuts to her like rising out of the water, and there's like flames, and she's like violently killing people and stuff. So it's really interesting to see her dark side and how she'll maybe, I assume she comes out of it, because I hope they make more Tomb Raider games after this one that are kind of more like maybe she's older, maybe she's more classic Tomb Raider that people know and love with dual pistols and stuff. I don't know. You and I still think they're lying about the dual pistol thing. I hope they're lying about that, because I think that'd be so cool. Like take a God of War aspect to it, where it's what I don't want to spoil it. You know what I mean when I say those of you that played all the way through God of War, take a God of War approach with weapons in the game. Yeah. As far as acquiring them throughout the story, I think you could do something really cool there. But I don't know. Overall, fun demo. I'm gonna play it. Don't know if I'll play it at launch, because again, there's a million things coming out in the fall.
Now this is all cute and stuff, but I know you took him aside and said, "Where's Deus Ex?" I know y'all are playing around with this shit, but where's Deus Ex?
I considered it, certainly.
Oh, you didn't?
No, I did not.
Oh.
Yeah, why would he do that? It's just a waste of time.
Because I thought he would try and get some juicy info for me.
Yeah. So, oh well.
It's fun. Cyberpunk is going to scratch that Deus Ex bug that
scratch that itch and more.
Yeah.
It'll probably scratch the flesh off, if we're being honest.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah. What else? Overkill's The Walking Dead blows.
Oh, yeah?
I'm not going to be that mean. It doesn't suck. It just was not even slightly impressive.
So you played it?
I played it.
Is it just generic first-person shooter, shoot zombies?
I will describe it. This will paint the perfect picture for you. It is an exact cross between Left 4 Dead and... what's that one that came out everyone hated? Just came out, reviewed terribly. The zombie game. State of Decay. Yeah. Mix of Left 4 Dead and State of Decay is exactly what it is. It's first-person zombie action like Left 4 Dead, and then it's base building and building up your characters like State of Decay. So, funny story attached to this before I talk about the gameplay. So, there was an overabundance of zombie cosplay at E3 this year, and it's because there were 3 big zombie titles. There was Overkill's Walking Dead, there was World War Z, which, side note, I think looks genuinely impressive. That looks pretty cool. And then Dying Light 2. And every developer or publisher had the same idea. We're going to have zombies walking around the show floor. So there's different genres of zombie cosplayers walking around everywhere the entire time. And if you've seen my show floor tour from Cog's YouTube channel, I interviewed 2 of the zombies, and it's pretty funny. But I felt so bad for specifically the Overkill's Walking Dead zombies, because Robert Kirkman is directly involved with this game. He played a heavy role in not only producing it, but writing the characters as well. So it's very much a Walking Dead property, and they're taking it very seriously with the narrative. So the zombies were straight out of the TV show. I mean, it was their makeup, their acting was like, that's a zombie in front of me. That's how impressive it was. Yeah. But I felt so bad for them because they had to remain in character for hours on end while people just harassed them. People walking by and like making fun of them and taking pictures of them and selfies and stuff. And they're like drooling everywhere and like doing these weird contortions with their head and their eyeballs. And imagine how exhausting that is to act like a zombie. Okay. Of course they have shifts, but the funniest part about this is that I saw them going to and from the demo room where they would all just like take a break and take a load off from being a zombie all day. So it'd be funny to watch them in character taking 3 hours to just go up an escalator to get into the demo room. They would go like a mile an hour to get in there. But it's funny, I watched one of them when I was waiting for my appointment to start. I was sitting on a couch in that room, and there's like a wall dividing where they go back to take a break. I knew this was going to happen. I watched the zombie meander from the entrance all the way. It took like 2 minutes to get there. And it's like a 10-foot distance. Meander all the way over to the wall that divides where they take a break. And it's the funniest thing to watch them go from a dilapidated zombie to just instantly into a normal human being. Walk behind the wall. They're probably like, oh, F my life right now. It's so exhausting. And I was thinking, I was like, I hope they're paying them loads of cash, because I wouldn't do that any less than $500 a day for me to act that. The effort it takes to do those body movements for hours on end. Yep. And it was always the same actors every day. You'd think they'd swap out, but it's the same people every day. I felt so bad for them.
Now, the the trailers they put out before we've seen the gameplay are really high quality.
So this is why I was disappointed.
Surprised to see and hear this.
I was initially super jazzed to be covering that game. I was like, man, the trailers look gorgeous. I'm like, it's unbelievable how good. I'm wondering, I haven't looked into it. I'm wondering if Blur did those, because Blur does like the Batman Arkham trailers and everything that are mind blowing, and they look that quality. So I think Blur may have done them. But of course, the character intros and just the cinematics and the visuals are just breathtaking. The trailers are like, man, this game's gonna be impressive. I can tell. Demo was disastrous, bugged so badly, and apparently it comes out in November. Granted, that's still time to polish the game, but so the gameplay essentially is, like I said, Left 4 Dead, but it's a little more stealth based. They said the more noise you make, the zombies will swarm you. I think they did that in Left 4 Dead too. You could be a little stealthy at points, maybe, but stealth's a big part of this game where you choose your loadout. And I think there's 4 or 5 different characters that have special abilities, but you can set their loadout to whatever you want. Like I carried a suppressed shotgun, suppressed handgun, and I think I carried a spear. This is my melee weapon. So my guy's ability, I cannot remember what it was, but it just, and I was playing on PC too, which was concerning. The frame rate was like Hunt Showdown when it first started. It was like 24 frames a second. It was very slow. The gameplay was fine. I mean, attacking zombies was fun, I guess, but I've never really been that into Left 4 Dead. But gameplay was just, it kind of ran poorly. It didn't look very good, and it was not reflective at all of the trailers. Like the trailers look.
Does this game look like if it's tightened up, it could be good?
If it ran at like a stable frame rate, there's definitely an audience I think would love it. If you love State of Decay and you love Left 4 Dead, it's like a marriage of those two games. I'm not shitting on it because I think it's going to suck. Because like with Hunt Showdown, when it was running poorly, I could see what it could become, and it's very quickly reaching that point. That's why I still very much enjoy that game. Now, zombie games in general, I've never been that attracted to, but I think the right audience will totally eat this up for sure. Okay. But we interviewed the guy after, and they're very confident in it. Robert Kirkman apparently is very happy with it too, and they talked about how the whole gameplay loop is there is a main narrative you follow, but there's also a ton of side quests, and it's all about just building up your base and your community and defending it from zombie attacks that can happen, and then going out into the world and collecting crafting materials and helping survivors and bringing them back and upgrading your weapons and stuff. So it's definitely a fun gameplay loop for people that enjoy that kind of stuff. It's not necessarily for me, but the only disappointment was that it just ran very poorly. So I felt bad too, because one of the developers offered to let me capture it. I was like, oh yeah, that'd be great, before I played it, and their capture setup was just disastrous. Like the audio was malfunctioning the whole time, and it was making the frame rate even worse. So I recorded it, and I know it was set up straight to my hard drive because I've done it a million times with Shadowplay, so I knew it was correct, and it just didn't work. It was just like, I think it caught maybe like 30 seconds of it, and the audio was in that infinite loop where like a sound effect happens and it repeats over and over and over again, and then they were layering on top of each other just indefinitely. So it was very bad. I told him, I was like, I'm sorry, man, the capture just wasn't set up properly. It wasn't functioning. And he's like, he's like, do you want to try it again? I was like, no, I got to get somewhere else. He's like, you sure you want to come back later and capture it? And I was like, I'm sorry, man, I can't. Because I think they were looking for coverage. I felt terrible. But I think honestly it was in their favor that I didn't capture it, because I said it was running so poorly. It's probably better that they polish it a bit more before they show it off. But that was that. It was just the zombie thing was funny to me.
Well, guys, I have to go.
Do you have to go?
Yeah, I'm gonna be, if I stay for the remainder of, and I don't want to hurry it along, but I'll be.
It is Father's Day.
Crazy late.
How are you gonna get there?
How am I gonna? I'll just get a ride to my car.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure my dad or someone will take
you. It'll be fine. But you guys have fun discussing.
I'm bummed we can't talk about Fallout and stuff. You don't have like 5 minutes to talk about Fallout?
We can talk about Fallout really quick.
Okay, I'm just going to let you go so you can get that out.
I mean, I don't really... I guess since you were there, like, what did you see of Fallout? What were people saying at E3 about Fallout?
Oddly enough, not many people were talking about it.
Okay.
So, I don't know why.
You couldn't play it, right? It was...
anything that anyone said, it would always be like, yeah, that looks pretty awesome. That's what people would say.
Yeah.
But I'm very, very excited to get into that. You and I were gushing over it at Arby's earlier. So.
Yeah. No, I'm incredibly excited to play it. I know that when ZeniMax, I'm pretty sure I talked about it on the podcast maybe a year or two ago, before ESO even started, that they had the rights to do an Elder Scrolls Online or a Fallout Online game, and I was hoping that we could get some sort of MMO-ish Fallout game. And this isn't an MMO, but I am very excited to see a shared world type of game that's, been popular lately, set in the Fallout universe. typically games. I'm excited for Anthem. I was excited for Destiny, but this is the franchise that I will be completely like, how do I say this? This is the one game out of all those games that I know I'm going to be heavily involved in, that I'm going to be playing consistently, probably for years if they continually update it like they say they're going to update it, and that I'll just be probably obsessed with if it's what I think it's going to be. I think it's awesome that there are no human NPCs in this world. Me and you were talking about this, just seeing somebody in the distance, just knowing if they're going to be friendly or not is just really cool. And I think it fits the Fallout universe with just, it's only been 25 years since the nukes were dropped, and there isn't going to be like raiders or like an established group of people on the surface yet, that only the people from this vault are going to be out there. So you can actually play as a raider or a trader, or just, you could start the Minutemen, or, you know, things like that.
It's like the ultimate role-playing experience.
Yeah, I think that for a lot of people hating on it, that it isn't a traditional RPG, but I do think that this does lend itself to be played, you know,
cooperatively.
Well, just as a big RPG, role-playing as anybody you want to. Like, you literally can be a trader, you can be a raider, you can role play as these different types of people. And I know he's, you know, I know some people aren't really taking their word for it, but they're saying this is a Bethesda Game Studios game. There are going to be quests, there are going to be places to explore. The places you're exploring are going to have stories and quests to go along with them, and that just sounds super fun to just do it with you or Jacob, or just people.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the No Clip documentary as well, and they said, I think they said the Austin studio that they opened up is going to be running the game, and they're expanding their team, so that, you know, points towards that they're going to keep developing, you know, continually updating the game.
The DLC's free. That's really cool that they're going to be consistently updating the game.
You know what we should do?
What's that?
We should start a stealth guild of assassins.
Okay.
Like Thief.
Yeah, that's cool.
Because there's so much to it to discuss and kind of break down, but just two of the thoughts that came to my mind that I'm really into it is one, you and I just stealthing around. Obviously, there's still some boundaries they said they're trying to figure out as far as when players can attack each other. So that information will come whenever. But
the only thing about that is that I'm concerned about, and hopefully they fix it, because I do think out of everything I've heard, this isn't the best idea, is that every single player you can see them on the map.
Right.
And
it shouldn't be that way at all. I don't have no idea where they are.
Yeah. So hopefully in the beta I'm sure they'll be taking feedback and stuff, but I think you shouldn't, because I think that drama
of just stumbling upon
someone is essential to not know where anybody is.
Yeah, just stumble upon in like an abandoned factory, and we're looking for something. All of a sudden, there's these other two guys in there, and we get the shootout happens.
Or if you want people to find you, like if you're a trader or something, then maybe you should be able to. If maybe
like put a blip on the map.
Exactly, a specific sign you put up sends out a blip or a radio signal or something like that. I think that would be cool.
You know, obviously the stuff like they're still trying to figure out. Say you're role playing as this trader, you have a ton of weapons, and someone just let's just kill the trader and take all of his guns. Like,
well, you can't do that. You can't loot bodies.
Like that's how they're figuring out how to do stuff. So. So there's no looting bodies at all.
No looting bodies.
Interesting. Okay.
So they're trying to make death not super, like, they're not to be a big time penalty, and they're trying to keep griefing to a low. So they haven't really given any specifics on how they're going to do that. I'm sure it's very much a thing that they're just going to have to dial in.
Yeah.
But
I'm sure they'll figure out something that's
maybe there would be. Maybe that'd be cool if there was a hardcore server where there are things like that.
I would want that drama of being killed, because if you don't lose anything, I mean, maybe like let's say you die and like the game just takes a portion of your caps, but not the other player or something. I, mean, I want to lose something upon
if
death.
You get killed and like lose all your power, everything. That would be heartbreaking.
Yeah, it would, but it's almost. I mean, I obviously wouldn't want it to always be that way, but I'd like to at least have that option. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah,
but I also like the idea of
different servers and stuff.
Of you know, I loved the building aspect in Fallout 4, and I always built my fortress, you know, with like defensive turrets and towers and stuff to defend like the inevitable attacks that would occasionally happen in Fallout 4, and of course that will happen in this game. But I also like the idea of setting up a defense with the idea of an actual human being in mind. Like if I were a person, how would I try to infiltrate this base, and determining how I would defend my base based on that mindset, which is way more interesting, and having to really think hard about how you're going to defend it. And again, like we said, we don't know how exactly the attacking each other thing is going to work, but I hope it's a way to where I know I have to defend my belongings and my community or whatever from enemy players.
I know you can, I don't think you can literally tear down, but you can damage it, and it has to be repaired. But I don't think repairing is that big of a deal. And one cool thing about the building the settlements is through that camp system, you can pack up your entire settlement and move it.
Yeah.
So when you spawn into a server and somebody else may have, which I have a feeling the chance of that happening is extremely low. But if somebody's on top of you, or somebody's put a nuke where your place typically spawns, it just gives you the blueprints of what you had, and you can just put it somewhere else and and put it there. So, but yeah, I feel the more I really hear about this game, the more pumped I am. And like I said, I wasn't expecting a new Fallout game for like a long time. I knew that they were making Starfield, and I knew we were probably going to get another Elder Scrolls before we would see anything else Fallout related. So I think this is a really cool spin-off in the franchise that can consistently be updated and listen to fan feedback, and just something new in the Fallout universe to just continue on until we get the new entry in the series with the Fallout 5, which of course will go back to what we, just a classic Bethesda Game Studios game. So yeah, I'm super pumped for it. I can't wait for all of us to just be decked out in power armor, just roaming through the nuke zones and getting armor and stuff. So
and that's what, like we talked about at lunch, it's a cross between what we love about Fallout and not our fascination, but our imagination of like, what would co-op look like in Fallout? And then the idea of like, what would an MMO be like in Fallout? But this is like the perfect blend of that MMO aspect, but not dumbed down, but like to a point where it's that traditional Fallout experience with MMO-like elements that I think is like the perfect blend that works for Fallout. Granted, we haven't played it yet, but the idea on paper just sounds brilliant. And obviously there will be some bumps along the road as far as the beta phase, and even probably at launch there'll be a few things. But I think in the long run, this is going to be something outstanding. So I'm very excited.
No, I have a good feeling about it. I think at the end of the day, once everything is dialed in and they're listening to fan feedback, I think this game's going to be freaking awesome.
Yeah, I'm pooping already.
So yeah, super pumped. Got that Power Armor edition. There's still time, man.
Yeah, there is, but it's like, isn't $200?
You can do the Best Buy thing.
It's like 150. They canceled their game thing though.
I mean, you could use mine if you wanted to.
That's true.
So
don't they check your ID in your card though when you pick that up?
Not if I put it's you picking it up.
Oh yeah, you put my name as picking it up. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. We'll see when I get paid again. So
yeah,
I want that helmet. It's awesome.
It looks awesome.
So,
but yeah, man. I think that'll have to. I'm already getting phone calls and stuff.
We'll
like,
where are you?
So, all right, guys.
I hope you find a ride there.
Oh, I'll walk if I have to.
Yeah, it's a nice walk. It's exactly, believe it or not, it's half a mile.
That's not bad.
So it's really only half a mile.
I think it's a little over half a mile, because exactly 1 mile is from the entrance of my neighborhood to the back cul-de-sac of my street.
Wow.
So that's exactly 1 mile. It's about 3/4 of a mile.
The street ends.
Yeah, take care of that Dying Light 2 backpack with all your goodies. You want that Fortnite bath bomb? Take a bath tonight. Be a groovy bath. Wear your bush socks afterwards.
There you go. So should I stay in this seat?
You can if you want.
Yeah.
It'll mess the audio.
I mean, I'm not gonna like use this mic, but
right. Preston's number 3. All right, bye guys.
See you, man.
Bruh. So
what more do you have on your list?
I have quite a few. I'll try to be a little more brief.
Yeah.
Man, my dogs are just animals. I mean, they are animals, but they're vicious animals. For some reason I didn't add it to my list. I forgot, so I'm gonna talk about it before I forget. Okay. Resident Evil 2.
Yeah. That guy just walked out. Was really excited about that game.
That makes two of us, man. It's the weirdest thing because I've never been a diehard Resident Evil fan, but obviously you and I really enjoyed 7 with Biohazard.
Mm-hmm.
I dabbled in the first one, the remastered version, and I'm aware of 4. I've played 4. I'm going to actually play all the way through it, especially after experiencing the I guess you could call it like recreated or remastered version.
Reimagined.
Reimagined Resident Evil 2. That is by far a massive standout to me from E3. One, because the trailer alone was just super cool, but kind of like the creative liberties they've taken with the remaster and just like the third-person camera angle, very similar to 4 in that aspect. But what's most impressive to me is just how unbelievably violent it is. I think it is by far one of the most violent games I've ever seen in my life. And the reason I say that is because it is the most realistic bodily reactions to gunfire and just violence I have ever seen in a video game. And I'll go into detail how. So when you shoot the bodies, no matter where you shoot them, games have this, like in GTA and Red Dead and stuff, you'll shoot them, you'll see where like the bullet hole goes. Yeah. But it's so much more than that now. When not only do you see the bullet holes wherever you're shooting these zombies, but for example, my buddy who was playing the game would shoot them and say the cheek, and the entire part of their cheek would just blow off, and like blood would be pouring out of it. And you can see like their tongue and their teeth and their mouth and everything. Wow. And what's cool is that if you don't hit them in the brain, they aren't going to die. It isn't like old school. You shoot them in the neck or the jaw a few times and it kills them. You actually have to shoot them in the brain. So he's shooting them in the face, and like chunks of like their skull are coming off and their face. No matter where you shoot them, it is precisely where your bullet hits them in the face. Wow. So chunks are blowing off, especially with their arms.
So you can't just headshot anymore.
No, you have to hit them in the brain. So he'd shoot them once or twice in the brain, and like their whole skull would blow out the back of their head, and just like blood pouring everywhere. It's so brutal. I'm like, that looks amazing. But what's even more satisfying is that for the first time, I think, in Resident Evil history, there are actual ragdoll physics with the bodies. So not only do you have these realistic reactions to getting shot and stuff, but the bodies fall over realistically. You can see, hear, and feel the weight of them. So that's even more satisfying. I'm a junkie for physics and little details like that in games, and that's something I really appreciate. So that's amazing to behold, because it just looks so brutal. What's even cooler about that, at one point he had a knife and he was chopping this zombie up, and he hit her in the arm enough times where the arm was dangling by a tendon. Really? Like, it isn't just like, oh, you cut it and it falls off. It was dangling there by a tendon, and it eventually just like slowly dripped off and hit the ground.
I don't like that.
It was intense, man. He was cutting her across the face. You can see it like chopping her jaw off and everything. Yeah. So I'm just amazed at the level of detail with like the violence in the game. It was so brutal. And of course, if you've seen the demo, there's like the guy cut in half. That's nasty.
Yeah, I was especially impressed with, like, they didn't show this during E3, but it was the trailer they released like right after the conference finished. Yeah, I was really impressed by like how cool it looks.
Yeah, it looks awesome. And I've never played 2 before, but I'm 100% playing this version of it because it looks like it has all the stuff people love about Resident Evil, and specifically the second one with like the puzzles and finding keys to certain doors to unlock them and new pathways. And just the combat alone looks so awesome. Yeah. So very, very excited to play that.
I don't know if I will, because it comes out the same week as Kingdom Hearts, I think.
Oh, really?
So that's rough.
Yeah, that's a tough call.
Yeah,
I'm definitely gonna play both. But you know what's funny? That Kingdom Hearts is like a running joke at E3 this year.
Yeah,
so many people are making fun of it.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah. I think it's just because of the terrible voice acting and some of the goofy storytelling. Yeah. That's what's funny about the trailers. The trailers don't do it justice, because seeing it in action, it's breathtaking. It runs in 60 frames and it's incredible.
I'm like, that's one of my games where I'm just like, holy shit, I want to play that now.
Yeah,
it looks so good.
I'm definitely playing it too. I'm very, very excited.
Did you get a chance to play it?
I never actually played it, but I saw it multiple times in action. Just the lines were just always the biggest for Kingdom Hearts. Wherever Kingdom Hearts was, the lines were the biggest for it.
Well, that's good news, I guess.
Yeah.
Even though it's the joke of the show.
Yeah. And like I said, it was running on One X. I assume on PS4 Pro it'll also be 60 frames. I can't vouch for regular Xbox and PS4, but on specifically One X, it was running in that buttery smooth 60 frames, no hiccups whatsoever, which is funny because in the trailers, it looked like there were some hiccups. Like the trailers were not doing it justice at all. But
I'm getting the PS4 Pro edition of that.
It's a cool looking PS4 Pro. When I saw that, I was like, that's going to be the one Jacob buys.
Yep, you're right.
I knew it. That's awesome. It's going to be a worthy investment, I'd imagine.
I'm really excited.
But yeah, as far as Resident Evil is concerned, Resident Evil 4 shot up to the top of my to-do list this summer. I'm going to jump into Origins in the very near future, probably early next week. I'll probably do Resident Evil 4 after that. I'm going to do Nier this summer. I'm going to do Uncharted Lost Legacy. As far as single-player experiences, those are at the top of my list. I may dabble in Dying Light 2 because I saw a lot of Dying Light 2 at E3, which I'll talk about in a bit. But yeah, Resident Evil 4 is up there, man. I want to really get to know Leon a bit better. Obviously, that's an older version of Leon, but I want to experience 4 because people love it, especially Preston, and 2 looks amazing.
You have to let me know what you think about it.
Oh, I will. I also played Jump Force, that anime game with like
I didn't know it was playable.
Yeah, it was. That cross between all the anime characters. Obviously, I can't name any of them but Goku.
So is this a 2D or 3D fight?
It's 3D. Very
That's interesting.
Interesting. It's like beautiful, but also kind of strange looking because it's like The character, very high definition. I think I played it in 4K. 3-dimensional characters that almost look like they're made out of clay.
Yeah.
But a lot of particle effects going on. The lighting was amazing, like reflections off wet roads and like electricity and stuff. And Goku's Kamehameha blast and everything was glowy and breathtaking.
So was Goku grounded? Like, are all the characters grounded?
Yeah, I don't recall anyone flying around. Everyone seemed pretty grounded. I mean, you could float around.
So this is a fighting game.
Yeah, very much a fighting game. I had Goku, Frieza, and someone else on my team. Can't remember. There were only 6 playable characters in the demo, but it looked cool. There's a lot of hype for that. I know at Xbox's showcase. I'm not. It
was a surprise at Xbox's showcase.
Yeah, I'm not that into fighting games, aside from like dabbling in Mortal Kombat and Injustice and stuff, and of course Dragon Ball games. But that's awesome. That's crossing over. I didn't see much of the My Hero fighting game that's coming out. I saw that was a thing.
I didn't know that was a thing.
I saw a trailer for it, but I didn't really see anything beyond that. So that's happening. I played Rage 2. It was so awesome, dude. Holy crap. It is just as brutal and gnarly as it looks in the trailers, which I was happy because, you know, any trailer can make their game look way more intense than it is, and it is very much what the trailer depicts.
I was very impressed by the trailer that they showed. I think it was a gameplay trailer where they were just using all these different cool abilities to take out enemies. That's super cool.
So you have a jump and slam ability where you jump up in the air and slam it. It's like an AoE effect where like eviscerates everyone. It's like they explode into pieces. You have a force push ability which just launches people into the air, and you also have a I know your ultimate's like a rage ability where you have like perfect accuracy. You can just shoot from the hip, and I mean you have to aim, obviously it doesn't aim for you, but you can shoot from the hip without having to aim down sights, and it's awesome. And the bodies when you're in ultimate mode get hit so hard that they're like levitating up into the air because the force of the rounds are so intense. There's one other ability, I can't remember what it was. I think it's I can't remember what it was, but all the abilities were fun to mix into the gunplay, which is outstanding. Of course, that's what's impressive. I think it's a cross between id Software's incredible gun mechanics mixed with Avalanche's open world abilities.
Does it feel too much like Doom?
It's very Doomish. Even the sound effects, not the sound effects, the sound design and the music are very Doomish, which you can't complain about because I love Doom, but this is different in the sense where you have those special abilities and you cannot complain about the wing stick. that thing, the blade that you throw like a frisbee, that is, even in the first game was satisfying. It is even more badass now to just jump, slam a bunch of enemies, they explode, and throw your wing stick and it decapitates a guy. It flips back around and lands in your hand, and then you shotgun another one. It is the gnarliest thing in the world. And the soundtrack, I think it's Mick Gordon too. I haven't researched it, but it sounds very much like Mick Gordon from Doom and Prey and everything. But it is just as badass as it looks. Again, this one was also a little buggy. It was framey at some points, and a couple of the bodies had launch into like a wall and they'd like stick into it and stuff. So it needs more polish, and they told us that as well while we were playing it. But when that game's polished, dude, that is going to be so awesome. I used keyboard, mouse, and controller. It felt amazing on both. So definitely going to be picking up it on PC, and I am stoked. I didn't get to drive the vehicles. I didn't get to explore the open world, but the combat sequence I went through was just so much fun. So just the gunplay alone, and imagining that in a giant open world with vehicle combat too, it's going to be amazing. Very excited for that. Too. Elder Scrolls Blades is bogus. Yeah. I'll give it this. It runs fine. It looks fine, but it is so boring. So I played both levels that are in it. There's the castle level and there's the forest level. And
this is the mobile
Elder Scrolls title. So moving, you use like the twin sticks, like where you touch your screen and like move forward and aim like you normally would with a controller, or you can tap to move around. Both ways are fine. I was playing on an iPhone X. It looked very pretty. The combat's just dumb though, because you stand there in place and only one enemy attacks you at once, and you're just spamming the attack button. You have like a shield bash.
That's never been the best part of Elder Scrolls 2.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. So you can shield bash, which was so weird. The shield bash does significantly more damage than your actual melee weapon, which I don't know if that's intentional or not, because that was set to a cooldown. So you have a couple cooldowns as far as like magical abilities and shield bashing, and you can attack with your sword, and only one enemy attacks you at once, so it's boring to just be tapping your screen repeatedly till the enemy dies, and then the next one runs up and you have to do it all over again. It's exhausting. And then to collect loot, you just like gold will pop up floating. You can just tap it and it'll come to your inventory. I mean, I like the ambition, like, oh, a full-fledged Elder Scrolls game on mobile, and as well as like, oh, you come back to your town and you can customize it however you want. And being able to play in portrait and landscape mode is fine. I tried in portrait mode. It just was annoying because it's such a narrow field of view that I didn't see the point. Other than, like you said, like sneak it at work if you want to play on your phone, whatever. But it's not that cool.
I was more impressed by the you can play Skyrim on Alexa.
Yeah, that's like a real thing apparently.
I have a Amazon Echo at home, and I'm gonna try it.
Nice.
So I want to see how it works.
Yeah. That was a hilarious trailer though, because that was like the running joke since last year. Like, what's the final frontier for Skyrim? And it was everything.
It's literally on everything.
And it's funny how we made the joke where we're like, Skyrim has to come to mobile. It's the final frontier, and it's basically coming in the form of Elder Scrolls Blades.
And Blades isn't that also coming everywhere? Like VR, it's coming to like everything.
Is it?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
They said during the
interesting.
conference.
Yeah, I don't remember that. But I wasn't blown away by it. It was just very boring. Again, ran very well. It's cool to be like, there's an Elder Scrolls on mobile, but it was very boring.
Yeah, you're kind of just confirming my suspicion of the game.
Mm-hmm. Now, Fallout Shelter, on the other hand, playing on Switch, I might do just because I really
have it downloaded
that.
On Switch.
Yeah, I loved that at the time on mobile. I bet on Switch it's great.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something to just goof around in when you have time to kill. Dead or Alive 6, I played against an actual professional. Again, had my ass handed to me. I wasn't covering that. My colleague was covering that game, but I was just there to film over the shoulder for that.
Gotcha.
And I was very, very bad.
What is Dead or Alive?
It's those fighting games with like the girls with their breasts rather exposed. And
I have no idea what this is.
And they're on like beach volleyball courts and stuff when they fight. Okay. I think it's a very suggestive game.
Yeah,
but it's a fighter. People like it, so. Played that. Metro Exodus. Now I'm very, very excited for this.
Heard really good things about this.
Yeah, we've talked about this a lot. I feel like I'm rambling on, so I'm gonna try to keep it concise. But went to the appointment for that, and I think it's 4A is the developer, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Yeah, they said that what you're about to play is very buggy. It comes out February 22nd of next year, so expect bugs, but have fun is basically what they said. And yes, it was plagued with bugs. My demo froze. I got stuck on loading screens. I got to a point where my guns were fully loaded, but they wouldn't fire. I would have animations with no sound effects, so it needs a lot more time in the oven before it's ready for February 22nd.
This game is delayed?
I don't know if it'll be delayed because...
Seems like a lot of bugs.
It was very buggy. I don't know how much time it takes to polish that kind of stuff, but... when it was working, it was outstanding. It was beautiful. We were playing in 4K, native 4K on Xbox One X. And my demo began in a train where I acquired Artyom's biggest new mechanic, which is his backpack, which essentially serves as a mobile crafting table. Now, what's awesome about this is that at any time, if you have the materials and the attachments, you can change the attachments in your guns at any time. Say you're in a huge gunfight and you have like a red dot on your Sega 12 or whatever. It's like the typical assault rifle in the game. Yeah. And you get to a stealth point, you're like, oh man, like I kind of want to apply a suppressor to my handgun.
Yeah.
You can open your backpack and apply it at any time, which is really cool.
That's
you can completely customize your guns. You can craft health kits if you have the materials. And again, it's a lot about looting and scavenging in the game too, like picking off items off of dead bodies, items you can find scattered throughout the world. So if you have the crafting materials, you can craft health kits. You can craft more filters for your gas mask. You can obviously change the attachments on your guns. And what's even cooler, if you're a Metro fan, you'll know that sometimes it was a bummer. It was a very hard decision when I was playing the game where I'd stumble upon a rifle that maybe has an attachment that I like better than what's on my current gun. But for me to acquire it, I just have to drop my current gun and pick up the new one. Yeah. And sometimes it'd be annoying because I'd pick up the new gun and wouldn't have everything I want. But now what's cool is that you can strip guns on the ground of their parts and keep them.
That's cool.
So if you see like a gun, you're like, oh, I really like the attachments on this gun, you can just strip the parts off it and keep it. And you can either break those down into further crafting materials or apply them to your own gun, which is awesome.
Can you break down guns into crafting materials?
I think you can actually. I don't know how many guns you can actually carry in your backpack, because obviously it doubles as like your knapsack or your inventory, as well as your mobile crafting table. Now it goes beyond that. It isn't just as simple as, oh, now you don't need crafting material or tables anymore. Your guns can actually pick up grime and dirt over the course of the game, especially if you're playing on harder difficulties. It's much faster. So it's very grounded and realistic in that sense, where if you just use a gun too much, you have to actually, in order to properly clean it, you have to find an actual crafting table. Okay. So it isn't just change your guns at any time and like they're infinite and blah, 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 blah. Obviously ammo's scarce, so that's a big part of it as well. But you can also craft, I think you can only craft ammunition at crafting material tables too. So in order to clean your guns and craft ammo, it has to be at a crafting table.
Okay.
So to maintain them and have ammo, you have to find crafting tables. That also includes armor you want to build for RDM that breaks down over time. You have to find a crafting table. So the backpack, super, super cool addition. And I just love the contextual aspect of the game where it's all just built in. There's no HUD. So whenever I want to pull open my inventory, like just, and I've always loved the sound design in Metro too. Like, this is so random, but the sound in Metro, both Last Light and just both the Redux games, when you screw in your new filter, it is one of the most satisfying sound effects I've ever heard in my life. And something about Metro sound design is just so good to me. Not only the atmospheric stuff, but just all the weapon sounds, the reloading sound effects, and like the backpack, just the way it sounds when you unzip it is just meaty, and it just sounds really, really good. And especially when you bring up your map too, just like in the previous games, you bring up a physical map and have to look at it. And especially when you're monitoring your air and stuff, you just look at your watch and everything.
That's cool.
So I love that aspect. And one of the other new mechanics is the morality aspect is way more involved and in depth in the previous games, whereas in the previous games it was mostly just narrative beats, like big story moments, like what are you gonna do, and depending on what you pick dictates the progression of the story. Now those moments also exist, but sprinkled in between those are just countless opportunities to make decisions on who RDM is actually going to be. And it's very much Fallout-esque in the sense where especially I shouldn't use Fallout as an example. I should use Mass Effect, where there's like a good and a bad, and every little decision kind of raises that bar, or lowers that bar.
That's cool.
And an example of that is I went into this cult's church where they're like totally against technology. Yeah. So they don't use weapons or firearms. They only use melee weapons. So they try to trap me inside this church, and I go and hide, and I pull out my suppressed revolver. So I'm like, I'm going to take all these bastards out. They're not going to trap me here. There's also a mother and her child that have been there for months, apparently. They're like, please help us get out of here. And my train's like down the street. So I'm like, okay, I can get you to my train and we'll get out of here. So I'm sneaking around, just popping all these guys, stabbing them in the neck, shooting them in the head. And it gets to a point where they start discovering the dead bodies, and they start freaking out. They're like, holy shit, this guy's been shot in the head. And they're all freaking out. Yeah. And two of them decide they're going to surrender. They're like, okay, we give up. They drop their spears and stuff, and they just sit there with their hands behind their head. So I'm like, okay. So to be a nice guy, I walk up to one of them. I just knock him out. I'm like, you surrendered. I won't kill you today. You live to complain about technology another day. Yeah. So I knock one out. Everything's fine. And then there's one guy that I didn't realize was kind of like way down the church. He was so far away, and I was too lazy to go because my demo was limited. I was like, I don't have time to go knock that guy out. So I aim my gun and I just pop him from across the church. And as soon as I do that, there's like an audio cue and like a red filter that briefly goes over my screen. It's like, you've been an asshole. So little tiny decisions like that are sprinkled throughout the world that affect the ultimate outcome of the game. So that's what I thought was very, very cool, is just making little morality decisions along the way. And I also talked to, I think he was the producer of 4A for Metro Exodus following the demo. And he said, this game is very much a mix of open world exploration and linear storytelling. Whereas it's classic Metro where there are many linear paths you follow throughout the game, which is not a complaint for me. I love that in the first two games. Yeah. It's very effective. But there's also in between all these linear areas are the giant hubs that are completely different, all feature different seasons, because this game takes place over the course of a year. So you see winter, spring, summer, and fall. That's really cool. And all the big open areas are fully explorable. And it isn't just it isn't black and white in the sense where like, here are the side quests, here are the areas to discover. It's not on your map. It doesn't show you where the side quests are. He said you stumble upon everything. And sometimes it may be a little moment where someone's being attacked. You can help them. It may be a fortress you can take down of enemies.
I wonder how people react to that, just not having really any markers on a map.
See, I'm into that because what I've always loved about Metro, especially if you play in the hardcore difficulty, it very much feels like a survival game. And I think ultimately it's meant to feel like a survival game. You can play it like a first-person shooter if you play on easy, but I really want that survival aspect where crafting materials are scarce, ammo is scarce, maintaining your weapons is much more difficult. So that's very much, I feel like, the ultimate Metro experience. And I think this is going to be the best one yet because of that, with the open world aspects and the linear stuff. And they said night and day plays a big role too, where you can sleep in a bed if you want it to be night for certain scenarios, or if you want it to be day. Instead of night, it can be tough because far more creatures and monsters come out at night, and they're going to be swarming everywhere. It's much more difficult to get around. But if you want to get the drop on an enemy camp, for example, it'll be much easier at night because you have the cover of darkness. Whereas in day, most of the creatures will be sleeping, but if you want to be stealthy during the day, it's going to be much harder. Right. So the only other new thing I encountered was this zombie-like creature that looked very much like a feral ghoul, but much scarier than a feral ghoul. Oh boy. It scared me to death. But yeah, it was very buggy, but when it worked, it was very satisfying. The gunplay felt as great as it always has. The crafting on the go was awesome, and just the little morality decisions along the way, I think, are a really unique aspect of the game. And I'm stoked out of my mind for that one. It's going to be awesome, I can tell.
Isn't it coming out like February 22nd?
Yeah, along with every other game that year.
Some of these games got to move.
Yeah, I know it's Anthem. The big ones are Metro, Anthem, Days Gone. I think there's a couple more.
Yeah, there's like 2 or 3 more.
Yeah, my prediction is that Days Gone is going to move because I feel like they're the most threatened out of all of those because there's a lot of hype for Anthem. There's already a lot of love for the Metro franchise, and Days Gone's brand new. And again, at the end of the day, no matter what they say, it's just another zombie game. So that they're going to move, I think. I think they're going to go to like March or April potentially. That's my prediction.
That'd be smart.
My pie in the sky, like Preston would say. I interviewed, like I said in the car earlier, I interviewed the director and producer. It was the director from, or it was the producer from, I wrote about this too. I can never remember the details. The producer from the one studio and the director from the other, because the 2 studios collaborating on this.
Oh, no, never mind.
Square. It's the director from Square and the producer from, it starts with an A, like Altered or something. Another studio.
What conference was the game at?
Nintendo.
It's is it that mech game?
No, this is Octopath Traveler I'm talking about.
Oh, you're talking about Octopath. Okay.
Yeah. Interviewed those.
I thought you were trying to think of the name of the game.
Yeah. Interviewed those gentlemen, and I've always liked these interviews where they speak fluent Japanese as a translator for us. But the only thing they know how to say is hello and thank you in English. So that's all we were really saying to each other in English. But the interview was kind of fun. I asked him about, obviously some of the inspiration behind the art style and the game in general and the storytelling, the 8 branching paths. And of course, I asked about the name. Like, please clarify the name for me. Yeah. Which I'm sure they've clarified this a million times by now. But they said, and it's very on the nose. It's actually surprisingly much more descriptive than you'd think when you actually analyze it. They said octo is short for octopus, because the Japanese audience is very familiar with the word octopus. Yeah. And obviously, octopus, I thought it was octopi. Apparently, it's octopuses. It's the plural term. Yes. But octopuses have 8 tentacles, and there are 8 different characters with branching paths in the game. And they also said traveler. It's just 8 characters traveling different paths that interconnect throughout the game.
And they like meet up at the head of the octopus.
Exactly. That's how it's described. So I'm like, great.
I knew like octo was 8, and I was like, oh, there's 8 travelers, and the Octopath Traveler.
Mm-hmm. So. And they sort of said the like tilt-shifted type graphics are very much inspired by the games they played growing up, like the Sega series, or not Sega, the Saga series and Final Fantasy. And they wanted to kind of revolutionize that style.
Yeah, I think it looks fantastic. It's such a beautiful game.
Yeah, and I said, like, well, obviously those inspirations are clear because some people thought this was a Final Fantasy game in disguise. I'm like, what really would you say ultimately sets this apart from the games that inspire you? And they said it's very much about not only the 8 characters and their different storylines, but their different abilities they all possess. Like Preston, like he said, playing the demo, was playing as the thief. Yeah. He has the ability to pickpocket people, yeah. So it was a fun interview, and I told him...
I know I played as the dancer in the first demo last year, and the dancer has the ability to, like, seduce people.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I seduced a man.
Did you?
Oh, yeah.
The way you seduce me daily.
Oh, yes.
It's very much in line with your character, Jacob.
Thanks.
At the end, they had these really cool Octopath Traveler shirts on with all the characters on them. I was like, by the way, I'm like, those are excellent shirts. And the guy translated for me, and they're all like, oh, like the hearty Japanese laugh. And we all had a good laugh together.
He just like took his shirt off and gave it to you.
Yeah, it takes his shirt off and lets me take it home with me. So, this is also random. Speaking of Japanese people and their cuisine, Sony Showcase was so cool because at the Spider-Man section, it was decorated like New York City, and they had hot dog stands like you'd see in New York.
Did you have a hot dog?
I did not. I had all the Ghost of Tsushima food, which I'll talk about in a second.
Okay. So they had different food for
the different sections.
That's awesome.
So they had Korean barbecue for Death Stranding for some reason. That was delicious. I had a little bit of that. They had the New York style hot dogs where you could dress them yourself. You could buy them like from a vendor on the street, which is cool. And then the Ghost of Tsushima was all decorated like you're in, there's a correct word. It's not ancient Japan. There's a word for it.
Rural?
I wanted to say rural, but there's a different word for Japan. Again, I wrote about it in Sekiro. I used the correct term. My brain's not functioning. I'm talking about so many games, but it looked like you were in Japan with like bamboo sticks and the flowers everywhere and like the architecture. But they had dumplings. I had like 8 dumplings. They're amazing.
Dumplings are good.
They had chicken, like teriyaki style chicken. They had lo mein. They had shrimp.
Wow.
All in these different sections. And I just pigged out on this stuff, dude. And they had the character from the game like cosplaying. People are taking pictures with them and stuff.
I'm really excited for Shadows. Or Ghost of Tsushima. Not Shadows.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
I keep wanting to say Shadows of Tsushima.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Shadows of Tsushima. I can hardly say Tsushima. It's like when I try to say
tough.
Destiny. That word does not roll off my tongue well.
think it's a little tougher than Destiny.
I have to put a lot of effort into saying Destiny and Tsushima.
Destiny.
So Metro, I was going to say I was lucky enough to attend Sony Showcase because out of my colleagues who attended Microsoft, I didn't go to Microsoft because I had my Activision appointment during Microsoft. That's why I haven't even seen the second half of Microsoft conference.
Yeah,
I've seen like the trailers, but I haven't actually seen the conference. During Ubisoft, I was doing something else. During Nintendo, I was doing something else. So it's funny how you can be at E3 and get way less information than people that are at home because you're doing other stuff. But
you don't really get to enjoy it like everyone watching.
I've heard, and I think I agree with this based on everything I've seen, that Microsoft had the best presentation, but Sony had the best games to show off at their conference. Yeah. But out of all the conferences my colleagues attended, they all said that Sony's was the most enjoyable, which I'm glad that's the one I actually got to go to.
Me and Preston were talking in like our little coverage video that we shot, that it looked like a fun conference to be at, but it wasn't necessarily good to watch.
I was thinking that because we were even being there, we were talking about like, what is the audience at home doing right now? While we're walking
we got our
over
Call of Duty trailers, we got the Destiny trailer.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry, man. Yeah, it was a cool experience for us for sure.
Got to listen to like 3 people that I don't care about talk about games.
I saw Cory Barlog. I saw Neil Druckmann. I didn't talk to him again. I want to be that guy. It's like, can I get a picture? I didn't want to do that anymore.
Hey, but, Neil, you remember me?
Yeah, Cory Barlog was being a super nice guy. Just countless people he's taking pictures with and super appreciative. He's a rock star too. Apparently, he showed up to Sony's behind closed doors demo for Last of Us 2. Yeah. And everyone in there was going up to him and shaking his hand. Like, they're like, congratulations on the game. It's a masterpiece and stuff. And he was like, very humble about it. Yeah. A total rock star. I took he was at the GameSpot stage doing an interview, and I took this long distance photo of him. It looks pretty cool. It's GameStop people were like, hated me for some reason. So I went up to their desk. I was like, hey, excuse me. I'm like, do you mind if I take a picture in between the two of you of Cory real quick? I'm like, I know it's kind of creepy, but like, it'll just be a cool picture. And they're like, sure, I guess. And I was like, okay. So I took a picture of Cory. It's a great picture of him. It looks awesome. And they were like really offended that I want to take a picture of Cory in between them. I was like, sorry. But that was that, I guess.
Yeah, mad you're up in their space, I guess.
Yeah. I walked past...
if I worked at GameStop, I'd be upset too.
I walked past... I mean, they weren't doing anything. They're just standing there. But whatever. I walked past Nick from Kind of Funny a couple times. Greg Miller a couple times. No. Walked past Greg a couple times. I mean, all those people are there. It's just kind of funny to see them.
Yeah, kind of funny.
All day long. Yeah, it is kind of funny. But I watched like 5 seconds of their GameSpot stage thing they did. That's off topic. Mario Tennis Aces. I know you had played the demo of that.
Game's coming out this week.
Yeah, I am, of course, picking that up. Even before I played it, I wanted to pick it up. But it is amazing. Now, I played locally. I played 2-on-2 and 1-on-1 matches, and it ran flawlessly. Now, you said it was plagued with connection issues in the demo, right?
Yeah, for some reason on the online tournament demo, it was like you would press a button and they would swing like a second later. It'd be really super annoying. So I hope that's corrected if I ever try to do the online. I'm mostly just really excited for the story campaign.
Yeah, hope they refine that.
Some good potential.
Yeah, just the gameplay itself, of course, what you'd expect from Nintendo, it just feels flawless to play. Yeah. And even playing locally, 1-on-1 and 2-on-2, it was me, my colleague Paul.
Yeah, I haven't tried 2-on-2. I wasn't available.
Yeah, it was a Nintendo PR guy, and then it was like a Nintendo booth girl, which they aren't dressed up suggestively or anything, but it's funny. You can tell that they're paid to strictly promote the game. That is their only job, and it's so fake, and it just feels so awkward because the whole time we're playing, she's like, also, did you know there are these features in the game, and also don't forget the game launches on this date. And she wouldn't shut up about it the whole time. I'm like, I get it. Yeah. Just play the game and enjoy yourself. And she had all these fake reactions
it's like the people
and stuff
on the
we were
Nintendo podcast.
It's exactly what it felt. It was so artificial. I'm like, just be a human being. It's okay. Like I was telling her, like, hey, cool shoes. And she would be like robot. Oh, thank you, sir.
Oh, thank you.
Like she had these awesome Nintendo themed vans. I was like, man, those are awesome. She was like, thank you, sir. Did you know that Mario Tennis Aces has this feature?
No, can we stay on your shoes for a little
longer? I'm like,
be
a human being, lady. But we played an epic 2-on-2 match where it came down to the wire, just back and forth for a good 10 minutes till someone finally won, and it was so much fun.
Nice.
And just the goofiness of the characters, too. Like, what's that Chain Ball's name again?
Chain Chomp?
Yeah. Ridiculous. But I love how some of the characters are fast-paced and other ones are kind of slower with more powerful hits and everything.
I unlocked Waluigi in the demo, and I really liked using him. He's more of a defensive character, I think. Mario's more balanced, I think, and then Yoshi's speedy.
Yeah, I used Yoshi,
I think
of course.
Peach is like mechanically, so she can like do the spin shots or the ones that kind of just die when you hit it.
Dude, you has visceral spin shots. What's the little ghost's name?
It's Boo, right?
I think Boo or something. I
think it's Boo.
Those curve shots are unstoppable. They're so fast.
And Bowser's like super powerful.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of variety in the characters you can use.
I love those do or die moments too, where you have to dive and it goes into slow motion to save the ball at the last second.
Flip over to the ball.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
It is awesome. I am so excited for that.
Yeah, me too.
So Friday
if I could just, enough. I wish I could stream it so badly.
Yeah, you and I will do some videos for sure.
Yeah,
I'd love to have some sort of competition between you and I and Preston and maybe some OGs out there if we can get the online to even work.
Yeah, it'd be fun for a stream one day maybe.
I think that could be a couple fun videos for sure. Let's go Pikachu.
Did you play the Pokemon game?
Dude, the Pokeball is incredible.
I've heard that, yeah.
See, when I saw that, I'm like, that's kind of goofy, but that thing is a masterpiece of technology. It is so simple, but I was amazed at how good it felt to control. It fits, and I have decently sized hands. It felt perfectly in my hand.
Yeah.
Kind of like holding what do you call this hand motion from like Dragon Ball Z? Picture the Goku stance, where his thumb and two fingers are out. That's the hand motion I'm making if you're listening to the audio version. But it feels perfectly in your hand like that. Now you control the movement with the stick on the Pokeball, and it's also clickable, so you can control the whole game with that Pokeball. And there's also another button with your index finger on top of the Pokeball that is flush with the Pokeball, so you can't see it, but you can feel it. Yeah. So it feels just so good to control and run around, and then you can feel the Pokeball vibrating like there's a Pokemon inside. And of course,
was there one in there?
Yeah, and you catch them and you can hold it up to your ear and you'll hear them make a noise. Yeah. So just this little Nintendo gimmicks like that, they're just so satisfying.
I'm probably gonna end up getting it because it's the only way that you can get Mew in the game. So
yeah.
Now I kind of want to get all the Pokemon. So.
Now I will say I was bored out of my mind after 10 minutes because they just made us run around catching Pokemon over and over and over again. Because we were waiting for the Smash booth to open up, which we played next. But the people playing Smash took 8 years, so I was stuck battling Pokemon and catching them for hours.
What area were you
at? Some grass region.
Okay. It wasn't like Viridian Forest?
It was a forest, yeah.
Yeah, it was Viridian Forest.
Yeah, so I
That's what they showed in the... Like after they did their conference, they had like a little gameplay session.
Nice.
With the creator.
I liked being able to see the Pokemon on the map instead of being surprised running through the bushes. You can kind of try to avoid them, but I got so pissed when I'm trying to run around them and like a Pidgey would get in my way. I'm like, fuck! And I have to catch the Pidgey. But it was fun to, it's one thing to swipe your finger on Pokemon Go, but it's fun to actually feel like you're tossing a Pokeball to it to catch them.
Did you try with the Joy-Cons too?
I did not. They only let us use the Pokeball.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So was that like, did you have to throw it really hard or was it just like?
Not really. It was very, it was pretty gentle. I was underhanding it a lot of the times. Just a nice flick of the wrist. It'll fly perfectly to him.
So can you not like miss?
Oh, you can definitely. Okay. Yeah, I was overthrowing it and underthrowing it, throwing it to the sides.
Did you run out of Pokeballs?
I did not. In the demo, they give you 900 plus. Oh. So I had plenty. I could miss as many times as I felt like. But, it was charming for sure. The Pokeball's cool. I'm probably not going to play the games. Like I said, I was bored instantly, but I know there's more to it than just the battling and catching Pokemon.
I mean, it's a Pokemon game, but the catching seems kind of boring. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I just did it too many times, but that was fun. My throat, Jacob, is gone.
I'm sorry, man. You've been talking almost the whole time, so I understand.
I'm
grateful for it because you went to E3.
So I'm crunching my eyes. You want to tell me about something cool while I crunch my eyes?
I guess. I mean, I don't really know what you want me to talk about, Garrett. I wasn't at E3. I didn't have any cool experiences to share. I wish we could have all been there, obviously, but it was just you.
It was fun. My throat feels just slightly worse now that I swallowed some ice. We then played Smash Bros. I've never been like I said, a huge fan, but I've dabbled in all of them at this point. And it feels incredible, like you'd expect. Nintendo polish, man. It is beautiful. My buddy played as Ridley. I played as Mega Man and Breath of the Wild Link.
Nice.
I know there's that extra little dash ability now, I think, where you have that double jump and then you can also dash after it, which I thought was already in Smash Bros.
Dodge.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. They've added that to it. And I know that's I'm not, again, I didn't see the reveal of it at Nintendo's Direct because I didn't get to watch it, so I wasn't totally familiar with the details, but it looked and ran beautifully.
I think you also have to shield, like you can't just hold your shield anymore. You have to like time it when they hit you.
Yeah.
Or you'll just like get stunned or something.
That's what it was. Yeah, I could tell when I was doing that, I was getting my ass kicked trying to block. Yeah. But yeah, as you'd expect, it looks and runs beautifully, and it is going to kill. It's going to do gangbusters on Switch, man.
It's going to sell Switches.
I love how it's every character that's ever existed in Smash Bros. That's awesome.
Yeah, no one thought it was going to happen. So
fitting name,
it was a
too.
Nice surprise.
Yeah, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool, exciting.
Yeah, I'm glad it's not coming out when we thought it was in like September. You know,
when is it coming out?
Like first week of December, I think.
Okay.
It's like December 7th or something like that.
Thrilling.
Yeah.
Also played Overcooked 2. Never played the first one, but I was always interested in it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was hectic. Again, we played a little too much of that one because we were with that booth girl.
Yeah.
And for some reason, they made us play like 8 levels of that. I just want to blow my brains out. It wasn't that it wasn't fun. I just had to be somewhere.
Now, this one's set up a little different.
Yeah.
Different obstacles.
All the maps were very creative. Like there was one in an air blimp where like the floor would drop out at random points. You'd fall and stuff would catch on fire. There was another one in like a scientific basement where there were portals you had to go through to get to certain cooking stations and everything.
Cool, yeah.
So it was challenging. It was fun too. It was very hectic, and I can definitely see the appeal. I know if you and I and Preston played it would be hilarious. But that was pretty fun. I'm almost to the end of my list. I apologize for taking forever.
It's okay.
Played
good stuff.
Played Mega Man 11.
Nice.
Again, I want to say like I'm a huge Mega Man fan, but I don't think I'm technically allowed to say that because I'm a huge fan of the X series, and I haven't even played all of the X series. I've only played X2, X1, 2, and 4, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't say I'm a huge Mega Man fan, but I do love a handful of the Mega Man games, and I've dabbled in the originals as well. And it's amazing because this feels very much like a cross between X and classic Mega Man.
Yeah.
Beautiful to behold. Those like 3-dimensional side-scrolling graphics are just incredible. It was crystal clear. It ran very smoothly.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of had that old school challenge too, because the enemies were intense. Like they would take a lot of health, and a lot of them would attack you at the same time, which is very similar to the original. So it felt like a classic difficulty mixed with like the mechanics of a newer game.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 of his biggest new mechanics are I can't remember the exact names of the mechanics. I have it on video. I'll have to dig it up later. I have to write about it. But he has the ability to it's almost like bullet time in Max Payne, where you slow down time for a period of time, and you move the same speed, but everything else slows down around, and you can jump around quicker, and you can also fire faster. Yeah. So that's handy for certain platforming sections where something's going to smash you and you have to get through it in a certain amount of time. Or if there's a million enemies, you can kind of slow down time and take them all out quickly. Mm-hmm. And there's also a damage booster where it boosts the damage of your Buster Cannon. Nice. So you do more damage. So combining both of those and using them at the right time because they're set to cooldowns is genuinely challenging, because sometimes I'd use the bullet time ability at the wrong time and it would screw me up later. Now, the boss battle I could not beat. I played 2 levels. Can't remember the names of them, but I faced off against one of the bosses. It was like an electricity boss. He's called like, not Electro, obviously, but like Shock Man or something, or Static Man. And it was extremely difficult. It was very hard, but I like that. I want that old school challenge, but also that new gameplay feel with Mega Man. Mm-hmm. He also had a dash ability. You can kind of brief. It isn't dash where you're like, you can spam it at any time, like Mega Man X, for example, but whenever there's like something to dive under, you can dive under it with the dash ability. If you kind of, I think it's down and like the jump button, you'll dash. So just like Nintendo stuff, I know it's Capcom, but it looked incredible, ran very well, and I'm pumped for Mega Man 11.
Yeah, did you play this on a Switch or did you play it on something else?
I played it on One X.
Okay.
Oddly enough.
Do you think you'll play this game when it comes out?
Oh, definitely. 100%. I'm going to pick up Mega Man X Legacy Collection 1 and 2 as well, just because I like those games.
On the Switch?
On Switch, yeah. Anything Mega Man I'll pick up on Switch for sure. Yeah. So, pumped for that.
How'd you feel about the art style of that? Because a lot of people have been complaining that they don't like how it looks.
Oh, I like it a lot. Yeah, I thought it looked awesome. So just look at like a newer version of the classic art style of Mega Man. Mm-hmm. It's cool. The only other games I played were a few smaller ones. I won't go into much detail with these. I played a game called The Sinking City, which I think is an indie game, but it's basically you're this. It's in a dystopian world. It's inspired by H.P. Lovecraft, where there's fish people, and you live in a world that's been flooded. And so it's basically a flood has occurred, and you live in this city that's based in the 20s. Okay. And you play a detective who solves murders, and it's kind of like L.A. Noire in that sense, but in a dystopian world.
And you're a fish.
And you're not a fish man, but there are fish people. They're like human beings with gills and stuff. It's kind of weird. But you interview people like L.A. Noire. You engage in combat scenarios and solve cases, and it was kind of cool.
Do you solve any fishy situations?
Yeah, plenty. That was gold, Jacob.
Thanks.
tip of the hat to you. I'm not wearing one, but I would definitely tip my hat to you. There you go. I played V-Rally 4, which is another racer that was not impressive at all. It was not unlike Gravel, which I reviewed for COG a few months ago. It was an off-road type racing game. It's very much a sim. Oh, it was awful. It was so bad. I felt very bad for the developer kind of coaching me through it. Yeah. I'm like, is this the worst performance you've seen? She's probably being nice. She's like, no, I've seen much worse. Okay. It's like, yeah, I doubt that. It's flipping my car, crashing into everything. I can hardly play arcade racers, but you hand me a sim, it's over. So, it wasn't as kind to me as Forza, where they put it on very easy and I had markers on the road. This game was very much threw me into the fire and I destroyed it.
Were you on another driving machine or was it just?
It was just a controller. Okay. So it didn't stand out to me at all. I mean, graphically, it looked years behind. It ran fine, but it wasn't a unique racer at all. Apparently, there's a huge audience for the V-Rally games that I've never heard of, but it didn't blow my mind. Lastly, I played Creed Rise to Glory on PlayStation VR.
Yeah. Oh, VR game.
Yeah. It's also coming to Vive and stuff, but I demoed it on PSVR. Not sure why, because it's coming from Survios, who did Sprint Vector, and I think they are masters of their craft. I know people are freaking out about, like, it's called Laser Beam or something, some VR game that people say it's excellent. It's not Laser Beam, it's Laser something. Blitz Razor or something? What's it called?
It's about the one with the music?
I think so.
It's
Daft Razor, Blitz Razor, Laser. Called, can't remember.
Let me see my phone really quick. I'll figure it out. Is it Dual Saber?
That is something like that. Something with Saber.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I gotta crunch some more ice, guys. Please forgive me. Okay, I'm trying to crunch into the microphone too much.
This is an awkward pause.
Anyway, Creed Rise to Glory is based off the movie Creed that has Michael B. Jordan and Sylvester Stallone. And it takes place in between the first and second movie that the movie is coming out in October. Where'd you find it?
It's Beat Saber.
Beat Saber. That's what it is.
The game looks awesome.
It's like, what are they calling it? Daft Laser?
Yeah.
Yeah, that game is, even Survia says it like blows their minds. And they're very, very good at what they do with VR. But they were demoing Creed. Like I said, narratively, it takes place in between the first movie and the second movie. And it comes out right before the next movie. So it's a great marketing ploy. And they actually got the rights from MGM because they not only are very good at making VR games, but it's perfect timing for the movie.
Oh, yeah.
So just to be expected with Survios, the VR was outstanding. It's a boxing game where your body isn't attached to your actual hands, which obviously you're holding move controllers. So you can lean back, and it's monitored through like the PSVR visor, where you can lean back and dodge attacks, but you can also keep your fists out to block certain attacks. So it's all about blocking, and it's all about the force of your swings too, because you can't just spam your wrist and hurt people. They said it's very much about the physics of your actual swings.
That's cool.
So in order for your hits to register, you have to swing at a certain velocity, but to really do damage, you have to swing as hard as you can. So it's kind of dangerous. And I felt like an idiot in the demo. They're like, "Come on, swing harder, swing at him." I'm like surrounded by thousands of people. I'm not going to swing like a lunatic in this demo booth.
Not clock someone in the head.
Yeah, that's what I told him. The guy's like right in my ear. I'm like, dude, I'm going to hit you in the face if I'm not careful. Smack him. He's like, kick his ass. It was fun to block incoming attacks and then like uppercut and hit him in the stomach. And it felt very good to play a very solid, buttery smooth boxing game in VR. But some of the other mechanics are really interesting, where if you get clocked in the head really hard, which I did because I wasn't blocking very well, it'll do this weird thing where you temporarily go into third person and you can see your fists out in the air and you have to guide your hands to line up with the fists to kind of regain consciousness.
Is it happening really quick?
It is quick, but if you don't do it fast enough, it'll knock you out.
Yeah.
So that's how you kind of regain your balance. Okay. Well, even beyond that is if you get hit really hard, you'll be temporarily knocked out. And it does that thing from, if you've seen Get Out, where I think they call it The Dark Place or something. Have you seen Get Out?
No.
That movie's excellent. You should check it out. Anyway.
Wait, is that the one where they're getting out of the house?
Get Out's the one with...
the blind guy?
No. It's the guy from Black Panther. It's the black gentleman.
No.
Yeah, it's very much like a racial movie. It's a horror comedy, but that is one of the best, I know I've said this, the best theater experiences I've had in my entire life. It was incredible. I'll never forget it. But there's a scene where he's hypnotized, and it looks like he's leaving the frame of the movie going into this black abyss, and you can see the frame of the movie getting smaller, and he has to like climb his way back up. Yeah. And that's what they took a cue from that and added it to this game, where if you get hit in the face too hard, that happens. And to run back to your body, the screen's like a speck. and you have to sprint back to your body before the timer runs out. And it's like Sprint Vector in that sense, where you have to swing your arms really fast to get back to it.
That's kind of cool.
So that's kind of fun, getting back to your body. They said there's a narrative it follows, and it's very story-based, where you follow like the dramatic storytelling of Creed in the video game.
Yeah.
There's also a simulation mode where you can fight against, you unlock the other fighters throughout the course of the game. You can compete with your friends, of course.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't say any details regarding multiplayer, like online multiplayer, and they're like, we're gonna do it, but we're not ready to talk about how we're gonna do it, because I feel like, I mean, Sprint Vector has multiplayer, and it's brilliant, where you're racing like super fast paced against other players. It's awesome. Yeah. So that'll be in there, I'm sure, but they didn't go into details. The game, very smooth. Survios is very good at what they do, but the more interesting part of the story is that I got to talk to the lead director of the game, and I talked to her about, a little bit about Sprint Vector, and then of course about the new game, got a few extra details. But I asked her, I'm like, this is totally off topic, but I've been talking to my buddies about this for over a year. And I was like, I have to ask you about this. I'm like, have you ever considered making a Spider-Man VR game, but it technically isn't Spider-Man, but everyone knows deep down it's Spider-Man? She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, because Sprint Vector in some ways feels like Spider-Man, where you're sprinting and having to use your arms, and you have to physically launch yourself off of objects. And there's one guy with a grapple ability that shoots out like a web, and you can swing in VR. I'm like, imagine being Spider-Man and climbing buildings and having the mechanics of Sprint Vector, where you're basically a superhero, but also having web swing mechanics that you technically already have existing in Sprint Vector. Plus, now that I've played Creed, the combat you have in Creed, and combining all that into a Spider-Man game, but it's not Spider-Man. She goes, that's amazing. She goes, but if we were going to do it, we want to acquire the actual license for Spider-Man and make it actually Spider-Man. I'm like, can you do that? And she's like, well, we acquired the rights from MGM for Creed. She's like, I don't see why we couldn't go to Activision and possibly get the Spider-Man license. I'm like, please do that. I'm like, that is my dream VR game. She's like, it's so funny you're telling me this. She's like, that's actually a really great idea. I'm like, if it happens, you can say it was my doing, because no one had told them this. Yeah. I'm like, she's like, this is the first I've heard that idea. I'm like, I will gladly pitch you ideas like that. So we'll see over time. I'm hoping I planted the seed, and I'm hoping it flourishes into a beautiful Spider-Man tree at some point.
Good analogy.
So that is, I'm pretty sure that's all I played. I'm trying to think of some other funny stories before I wrap up my E3 experiences for 2018.
We've been going pretty long too.
Yeah, Fortnite's booth was... it screamed fuck you to everyone, because they've made so much money. They had, I'm sure you guys have seen it in videos and pictures by this point, they had the actual, I think it's called the battle bus or the party bus or something. The battle bus was there. They had a giant fort they had built where developers would just hang out on top and overlook their show floor. They had grass turf that was like you're on a field at another tower where PR would hang out. All these demo stations where you could play on PlayStation, Xbox, Switch. All of it was there.
Like, why do you need to play it though?
Yeah. They had cosplayers doing dance competitions on their stage the whole time. The whole thing, and the giant Fortnite logo above it is just like, fuck all of you is basically what it said. And they also...
Look how big we are.
Yeah, I didn't go to this because only two of our teammates, our team members could go, but they went to the Fortnite charity event.
Pro AM.
Yeah, and
I watched some of that.
They had the big after party. Apparently it was mind-blowing. Yeah. I wasn't there. I only saw snippets of like people that were there and everything, but a ton of celebrities were there. There were musical artists.
Was performing.
He was there. I know he and Ninja played. Yeah,
I watched that.
Yeah, apparently that whole thing was just my colleague just told me like they definitely spared no expense to flaunt their success. Oh, yeah. So it was unbelievable. And again, like I've said, I bring up Fortnite every episode now just because they continue to blow my mind with their success and innovation with that game. It's just, even though they mooched off PUBG, it has become its own beast, and I'm just I can do nothing but tip my hat to them. I'm like, you guys,
it's finally time that I try it. I have it downloaded on my computer. I'm gonna try it this week.
Mm-hmm. I hear it runs incredibly well on Switch too.
Yeah, I have it downloaded on Switch too.
Oh, the funniest thing that I have seen, it was like a snippet from Nintendo's Direct where Reggie's like, I can't wait to hop into the battle bus and see you on the battlefield down there, or something about Fortnite.
Yeah,
so funny. Mm-hmm. What is some other funny stuff that happened while I was there? It's like, it's all so fast paced and so much work that I have a struggle remembering all of it. I'm sure over the course of the next couple of weeks, I'll remember stuff.
Yeah. What was your favorite thing that you saw? Would you say Spider-Man?
Definitely Spider-Man. Only because I'm just a huge fan. I'm hoping I have the unique privilege of reviewing that for COG. I don't know if I will. Yeah. But I'll have to promise myself that I will actually be critical, because obviously I'm stoked for the game. I can't let my blinders of hype ruin the critical aspect. So I'd have to force myself to be critical. And like I said, I'm sure there's stuff to be critical of, but the demo I played was immaculate. I loved it so much, and I cannot wait for that game in September.
Yeah, man.
But
I mean, if you can't think of anything else, it's fine.
I shot a lot of stuff in the vlog I'm going to post later this week. I shot it all in 4K, like full 4K. It's going to look really pretty.
Is that going up on COG's channel?
It's going to go up on ours. I might do something a little different with that footage for COG, but like my traditional vlog style will go up. I already have the title for it. My vlogs it's going to be a trilogy of vlogs. First one was called Dreams Do Come True. Second one was called The Dream Goes On. And this one's going to be called Long Live the Dream. So
there you go.
It's very meaningful to me. And I don't really put them out there for like, look, everyone, look what I did. It's more for me to like just document and have my stuff on there just to go back to it. Granted, I could keep it on my computer and watch it whenever, but I like to share my experiences with other people too.
I'm sure everyone that watches our videos will get to see that.
And my vlogs aren't that unique. I don't talk to the camera like, what's up, guys? Smash that like button. I'm at E3.
You're at the Fortnite booth.
No, I don't do that shit. I refuse to film myself on camera, which is so hypocritical because we do it in videos. But I feel like that's different than like holding the camera myself and being like, what's good, everyone? Yeah. So it's just purely... My vlogs are intended to give you a taste of what it's like to be there. Just shots of me walking around, of the show floor, of cool trinkets I saw and stuff, and like various games and some of the press conferences, and specifically Sony's that I was at has a lot of cool footage. So that'll come out later this week. I'm excited about it, but that will probably remind me of anything else I did that was interesting and cool.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm glad you seemingly had a really good time.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was a lot of fun.
Seemed like it was really busy, but
It was a totally rewarding experience. I will never take for granted the opportunity to not only contribute to COG's website, but the opportunity to attend and contribute to an event of that scale is truly an honor and a privilege. And I'm so very thankful for that opportunity. Not only just how fun it is, but the potential to get my foot further in the door of that industry. Yeah. So I very much aim to do that full time at some point. It's very, very, very competitive and difficult. It's funny because you see... and there's 60,000 people there, including the public audience. All those people want jobs in the industry. Yeah. So it's incredibly competitive, but I'm pursuing it with all of the fire and fury in my heart.
I think you'll find success.
Yeah.
I know you will.
We'll see. I appreciate the encouragement, Jacob, and the confidence.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah, Jacob, let's talk about a little more about E3. I want to hear from you. Do you want to go ahead and jump into our top 5, top 3, or do you want to talk about just anything else E3 related that we haven't discussed yet?
I guess I just want to mention some games that I'm really excited for, mainly. I don't want to spend too much time on this because we have been going long, and I do need to get somewhere for dinner this evening. But firstly, I've already mentioned it, but Kingdom Hearts 3 looks fantastic. My goodness. It's everything I want, Garrett.
Oh, yeah?
Everything. And I really hope it delivers in every way I want it to. Once the game is, all said and done, once I played through it, I hope that I am just in tears and it's everything I want. Another game is Spider-Man, obviously. The trailer, the gameplay they showed at Sony's press conference was breathtaking. The reveal at the Sinister Six is confirmed to be back. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. I didn't think they would do that in the game.
I'm glad they are.
I just thought it was going to be more of like a single focused villain, but I'm kind of glad they're doing this.
That's what I love about Insomniac's take on Spider-Man, because I think they know this has to be the ultimate classic Spider-Man experience. Mm-hmm. And that's what it is. It's Peter Parker, Mary Jane's in there. I mean Miles Morales is in there, but all the classic villains are in there. Yeah. I think it's intended to be like that, truly that Batman Arkham, like you are truly Spider-Man in this experience. Mm-hmm. So it's very exciting.
Yeah. Another game, Cyberpunk 2077. Obviously, that's by far my probably hypest thing that I'm most excited about. I didn't expect it to be so... I thought it was going to be darker, the tone of it.
Cyberpunk?
Yeah, just because of, the first trailer we got for it years ago. I mean, it makes sense that it's changed at this point. Mm-hmm. But the world looks phenomenal, looks fantastic. It's a world that I want to be a part of. The music in the trailer is awesome. A lot of people are concerned that it's going to be a first-person RPG.
I can clarify some of that. Yeah. I don't have all the details. I'm sure many of you have already read countless articles there's no footage of it obviously, except for some of the leak stuff. But if you've read a lot of stuff, you're probably more aware of stuff than I am. I just know little details based on people I talk to. Which I want to say about CD Projekt Red specifically before I talk about the game itself. They were beyond rock stars at E3. I mean, holy crap, dude.
I saw.
They all had their shirts on, no matter where they were in the convention center. always someone was stopping to talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
All of them were always talking to someone because people were just stopping to talk to them, asking about the game.
Yeah.
And I kid you not, they were in like a closed room upstairs in the convention center, obviously because it was only behind closed doors looks at the game, by invitation only. And they, people were, I'm not exaggerating, begging to get in there to see the game. People were on their knees begging to get in this room.
Goodness.
And people were trying to sneak in there. They'd be like, hey, I have an appointment. And they'd say their name. They're like, you're not on the list. And they'd be like, yes, I am. I promise. Like, no, you're not. You can't come in here. It's like people are trying to get in there at all costs. Yeah. And
did anyone from COG get in?
Yeah, two of our guys went. They were one of the last appointments. It was the ultimate finale to E3 too. Yeah. And one of the guys who's very capable of reserving his hype was also very excited about it. And he was telling me how the shooting was very fast paced and intense, but it wasn't obviously not a full-fledged first-person shooter. It's an RPG with first-person shooting mechanics. But he said, I was worried to be like a Fallout type thing where it's like they're shooting, but it kind of sucks. Yeah. But he said it looked incredibly impressive. He said like the driving around looked awesome.
I've heard the driving is compared to GTA for some reason.
Yeah, I would imagine so because you're in that open futuristic world.
You get a nice look at that car, which is a nice car.
So I haven't read all the details yet. I'm excited to actually look at it myself. But even the COG guys were very impressed with it. Yeah. So
you're basically confirming like everything I've heard about it, and like on top of that, they're bringing a lot of the stuff that worked well in The Witcher to this game, like all the branching side quests, and that gets me so excited, dude. Yeah. Like that's what I love in games like The Witcher.
Yeah.
And those are like mainly the three that I'm really, really excited about. I think Shadows, God damn it, Ghost of Tsushima looks really cool. I'm afraid that the combat might be, I don't know. Just from what we saw at the conference, it didn't like blow me away. It seemed very quick. But I did like how the fight sequences in that game, like at the end of the demo, where you could like see the sunset in the background and all the petals flying around. It seems like a very just surreal and beautiful fight sequence that happens at the end. I hope the whole game's like that, which I assume it will be.
Yeah, only a brief taste of that one, but I'm sure that still has a long way to go. It seems that way. It seemed like we're gonna polish the hell out of this chunk, but all the rest of it is like still in the factory. It's like in pieces.
But like going into like that conference, I didn't really care too much about Ghost of Tsushima. Like we didn't really know a whole lot about it.
I was definitely interested.
Yeah, but now I've come away a lot more excited. So they've done their job.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of just anything else. I mean, I'm excited for Destiny, but that's Destiny. Yeah. I mean, you got any games that really stood out to you?
Yeah. I can't say Cyberpunk stood out to me because I haven't seen any of it.
Yeah. I'm just on the hype train right now.
Right, I'm on the hype train too. I think everyone is. I mean, people were losing their minds about this game. Anyone who had seen it just could not shut up about it. They said
no one said anything bad about it.
In every way, people were saying it was blowing their minds, which is awesome. And what sucked for me...
Few games do that.
Yeah. What sucked for me is that I met this girl from France at the EA Play event during the Battlefield thing. We just got to talking about random stuff. Yeah. And I happened to stumble in... we happened to stumble into each other several times over the course of the entire week and just talk about things we've been seeing that day. And the very last day I had my Dying Light appointment was the last thing I had to go to. And right before I went to it, I ran into her again. I was like, oh, hey, what's up? Started talking to her and I was like, we happened to get on the subject of Cyberpunk because it was right down the hall. I'm like, have you seen Cyberpunk? She goes, oh, yeah, I did. Oh. I'm like, that's awesome. She was kind of gushing about it too, like everyone else. She goes, but it sucks because they were giving away 2 tickets to each person who was invited to give to just random people to come see it later. Oh. And she goes, I literally just gave away my last ticket to someone else an hour ago. And I was like, no! Could have had a ticket to go in there. And they're giving away that girl from the original trailer with like the blades coming out of her arms. They're giving away like really detailed figures of her in this big box that people were taking out of there to everyone who went and saw it.
So you imagine she might be a prevalent character in the game? Maybe
that, or just it's like a character people are familiar with. It's in the world, but yeah, there's countless details people are talking about, but all of it just sounds so cool. I'm going to let myself get hyped too, because I expect the very best from CD Projekt Red. They blew my mind with Witcher 3. And it's one thing to hear a handful of people freaking out about a game, but when everyone unanimously is freaking out to this level, it's going to be amazing.
Oh, also Devil May Cry 5 looks awesome.
Yeah, I've never played any of those.
I haven't either.
But there's a lot of hype
I'm already sold.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. What's one more thing? Oh, my colleague Paul said that he thinks it wouldn't be crazy to think that Cyberpunk could be out by the end of next year. He said it looked
maybe
very far along. He said when he saw it, he said it looked very, very polished. And it wasn't just a single section they showed. He said they showed multiple sections throughout the course of the game.
I would be very impressed if it comes out next year.
He also said it's not crazy to think that it will land on current generation hardware as well.
Yeah.
So that's really great news. Obviously, I'll be playing it on PC, but that's just another reason I'm so glad we're upgrading our PCs, because I want mine to run that game to the best of its ability by far. So super, super exciting. Standouts for me, ones between the ones that I saw and played, Spider-Man, obviously.
Did you play Anthem? You didn't play Anthem?
I did not get to play Anthem. I did see a look at the demo at EA Play. Even the public got to go behind this closed door demonstration of 4 players playing it live, and they showed the gameplay like in snippets, but they played the entire quest. It was pretty cool. I mean, like I said, it screams Destiny, but it's different where it's third person. You have the, what are they called? Exosuits? What are they called?
Yeah, like javelins.
Javelins. That's what they're called. Yeah, like they showed the tank javelin and like the javelin.
Goliath.
Yeah, the tank javelin that has like the powers versus firearms.
Yeah.
He has like a cape, like a hunter.
I think that one's like Shadow or something. I don't know.
And they're all in that poster.
Yeah,
but pretty cool. Everyone who played it said they were very, very impressed with it. It's funny, that one kind of got shrouded by the hype of Cyberpunk and Last of Us and everything, but people who played that said it was very impressive.
And it was at the EA conference.
Yeah.
Which is a huge bummer every year.
But
I almost just don't want to watch it anymore. It just ruins my Saturday.
I think one of the most cringiest moments in E3 history happened at Bethesda's conference when the Rage 2 guys came out.
Dude, I felt so bad.
That was one of the most
tall
painful
guy,
things.
I felt so bad for him. He was so nervous.
That was one of those painful things we've ever seen. And granted, I don't hold it against him because clearly he was scared to be up there, where the Rage guy's like, we had to bring in the big guns for this one, and he points to the tall guy, and the tall guy like totally forgot his line.
Yeah.
And then he would hype up the crowd because he doesn't know what to do, and everyone would cheer. I think he hyped him up like 2 or 3 times, and just dead silence.
Then you heard like another guy be like, yeah.
And then finally the other guy's like, anyway, in Rage 2, I was like, oh man, that was bad.
Yeah, there were lots of moments like that. At Bethesda, specifically.
Yeah.
Like the Elder Scrolls Online guy.
Yeah. I know PewDiePie did a couple. He did a little mini cringe video, and I know Crobecat will probably come out with one in the very near future. There were a lot of cringy moments at EA, especially. That was awful. That presentation was one of the worst I've ever seen.
I guess Sony was one of the least cringy.
Yeah, I felt so bad for Andrea Renee. I'm like, maybe for her career in the long run, this will help her.
Yeah,
but
she had some cringe too.
I would have never accepted that.
The way she interacted with the crowd was a little cringy.
Yeah, it hurt.
And when she interviewed, what was it, Vince
Zampella about Star Wars.
That was bad.
I did not like that.
Yeah. And that's how we announced the Star Wars game. We go to the guy in the crowd. Yeah. We don't have any images or anything.
I mean, at least we have the story synopsis and the title, but that was
I'm excited
weak
about
as
what
hell.
that game could be.
Me too.
And we're going to see it next year. So,
yeah, it sounds great. I trust in Respawn.
Oh, yeah.
Wholeheartedly.
Well, sorry, I kind of interrupted you there. What are you excited about?
Standouts. Spider-Man, of course. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, naturally. What I already forgot what I played. I can't remember.
Man.
And Saw.
You
mind pulling that up again? I'll just blaze through it really quick. I mean, Last of Us looks beautiful.
There you go.
Of course, Last of Us. Probably being my 3rd. Metro Exodus, especially. It's my 4th. And Resident Evil will be my 5th.
There you go.
Countless honorable mentions, but all of those really stood out to me.
So you kind of threw an idea around that you wanted me to pull up some questions?
Yeah, we'll
show?
pull up Discord. I'll have to go back and make sure I mark those down as read later. But I will read a couple off Discord. Specifically, any that are E3 themed would be great. 2 or 3, I think, would be solid for the end of this episode.
Let me see here. That's a really long one.
Been rambling quite a bit here, but I've enjoyed it.
Okay, here's a game we haven't really talked about at all. This comes from V-Ball Milk.
V-Ball Milk.
Thank you for your question, obviously. And it goes, hello, my dudes. Super stoked for another Assassin's Creed. I am totally okay with them releasing one every year because I will always be playing them. My question is, do you think they will ever release Assassin's Creed on Switch? As much as I enjoy playing the game sitting on the couch with a nice big TV, it would be better to be able to have the option to play the game on the go. Thanks for all you do, and just please don't ever stop what you gents are doing. V-Ball Milk.
We totally forgot to mention Odyssey.
Yeah.
Forgot about it completely.
I'm also really excited for that game.
Yeah, Odyssey looks
awesome.
very impressive.
Yeah, I love the world at that.
Yeah, visually it's breathtaking. It's so beautiful.
Like any game that takes place in ancient Greece is, I'm already sold to an extent.
And surprisingly solid facial animations too. I like having dialogue options.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool. So pretty jazzed for that too. I got to get through Origins first.
Yeah.
But
you ever think it'll be on the Switch? I don't know if the Switch can handle it.
I don't know. It's like I go back to compare it to Skyrim, and Skyrim, of course, has a lot of NPCs, a lot going on, but graphically, Assassin's Creed is far more demanding, it seems. There's also ship mechanics. There's people flooding the streets. There's all kinds of crap in that game. I feel like Assassin's Creed is more demanding than, say, Skyrim on Switch. So I don't know if I'll say yes. I don't think it's entirely possible. They might have to dumb it down a decent bit.
Yeah.
But there's a chance that maybe it'll land on there at some point. I'm also excited for Trials Fusion, I think it's called. No, it's not Trials Fusion. Is it Trials something else? Rivals?
I don't know.
Can't remember. I love Trials.
They really made a big deal about it at Ubisoft's conference.
Yeah, I want to play that on Switch, though. I love Trials. It's a lot of fun.
All right. Well, thank you for your question. Let's do this one. Hello, gorgeous bastards. This is Coffee is Life, by the way. Do you guys feel that Anthem will be delayed due to too much concept art being shown? Also, do you guys think there will ever be a sequel for the Order 1886? Sorry, I'm sort of disappointed that one wasn't announced. Keep up the great work. P.S. I love you, Jacob. Thank you. Really nice. You see why I read that question now?
Yeah. I don't think Anthem will be delayed. I think they're really going to stick to that, and I think they will. Obviously, that game's going to experience a lot of updates and tweaks as it comes out.
Yeah. I mean, it's a games of service. That's how those games.
I think that will
die.
definitely launch in the 22nd. But like I said, I think the one that's going to move is Days Gone for sure.
Yeah,
that has nothing to do with Anthem, but
I know there's like a big one we're forgetting that we haven't said that's coming out the same day too.
And the demo I saw ran in 60 frames. It was beautiful.
Yeah,
it looked very, very solid.
It's kind of funny how they all just picked the same day though.
What?
It's like,
oh, I know. It's like, what's with that
22nd.
date? That's weird. Metro as well.
Let's see.
What was the other end of that? There's an end part of that.
It was about the 1886. The Order 1886. I don't think there'll be a sequel.
I think by now we would have heard something, but I don't think it's still entirely out of the question. I think it deserves a sequel, but maybe years down the road.
You would think they would have been a little more eager to make another one at this point.
I think the studio and even Sony thinks like, where does this fit in their first party exclusive?
They already have so many dark
third person experiences. So
yeah, I get that.
They kind of just muddy the waters a bit more.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm looking at the dates on these and seeing if they're related to E3. We'll do this one. Get Some asks, greetings, Fallout Boy, Hunt Showdown Boy, and Kingdom Hearts Boy.
That's us.
With the unveiling of undoubtedly huge games like Cyberpunk 2077, Elder Scrolls 6, and Starfield, I'm convinced I need to build a gaming PC to enjoy them all to the fullest amount. My question to you all is, should I build one now with the available hardware or wait for newer CPUs and GPUs, seeing how these games will potentially take a wild release? Probably not the best question to ask me or Garrett, but I mean, if you build a really powerful PC now, you're going to be fine. Like, you'll be able to play those games easily.
Definitely.
I think that's pretty easy to say. It's not like in the next year or two, games are just going to be like so much better than they are now that your PC's not going to be able to handle it.
Yeah, I would definitely invest in a PC.
Yeah, do it now. There's so many great games to play on PC.
And you can play games like they're on console anyway with a controller at any time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's how I'm playing Tomb Raider.
Yeah, so it feels like you're on a console, just way better frame rate and visuals.
Exactly.
So it's totally worth the investment.
There's no reason not to get a PC right now.
No, I'm still totally in love with my first-party exclusives. I will play Gears 5. I will play Halo Infinite. Apparently was a tech demo, by the way. I don't know if we talked about that. Of course, I was hyped by the trailer, but that was primarily just a tech demo. Showing off I think it's called the Euphoria engine or something.
Yeah. It didn't look great. I made that comment.
Oh, yeah, that's whatever, but I'm excited for more Halo. Gears 5 I will play, and then, of course, the Sony, Spider-Man, and all their first-party exclusives. But PC for third-party stuff is awesome. Yeah, and just PC exclusives as well.
You don't catch me turning on my PS4 unless it's an exclusive.
I won't be turning on my PS4 with the exception of playing Resident Evil 4 and Uncharted this summer.
Yeah. So when will I turn it on next? I guess Spider-Man Then after that, maybe Kingdom Hearts. So maybe twice the next 6 months.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, same with me for Kingdom Hearts. So PC, do it, man. Just don't even hesitate. Even if you buy a middle of the road PC and upgrade it over time, that's what I've been doing. And it's been great.
There's also like services you can call or just go online and they'll help you build a PC that you want with your budget. So
yeah.
You know,
even the one I bought
do your research.
Was fine when I bought it. I mean, the build I have now is far more powerful, but
yeah, you got a 1080 recently.
Yeah, 1080 and going to be investing in a 144 hertz 2K monitor very soon, which I'm excited about.
Yeah, that'll be really nice.
Yeah. So, and I'm at 24 gigs of RAM. I'm going to upgrade just to go ahead and get to the 32 just because it's not that much more expensive. So I got quite a beast
you're
at my fingertips right now. So
I still haven't pulled the trigger on since I bought mine. I've mentioned that I'm saving up for a new vehicle, and also a PC at the same time. Which one comes first, it's your guess as good as mine. Whichever I want to get more.
Right.
So
it's tough, man. It's a tough call.
I mean, I could afford a PC right now, and I've come so close to just getting it, but
it's hard, man. With all these games coming out, that is quite the temptation you have to face.
Yeah. But I think that's gonna do it for us today, Garrett.
I think it will, Jacob. It was an absolute pleasure. I know we're probably overlooking a few things. There's a lot revealed at E3, a lot talked about. So please.
I mainly just wanted to hear your thoughts because you got to actually go. I think a lot of people will appreciate that.
Yeah, it was fun. It was very, very fun. And the vlog, like I said, will reveal some more stuff I may have forgotten. Just funny little video clips or just what it was like to see some of the stuff there.
Yeah.
So yeah, everyone sign off in the comments if you're willing to do so about some of your favorite reveals and experiences at E3. Even if you were there, I know some of you may have made it to E3. That'd been cool to hear your take as well. But please comment below just for the sake of growing this YouTube channel. We will be contributing much more content to the channel over the course of the summer. I am in recovery mode from E3 where I'm still not only physically recovering, but there's still some work to be done for COD Connected that I'm finishing up for E3 coverage. And I'm also working every single night this week because I was gone all last week for E3. So I got to get through this week of absolute madness. And then the following week, my schedule will be back on track, and Jacob and I are going to be cranking out some Let's Plays for Mario. We'll be streaming very often. Jacob's going to actually try to stream 5 days this week. Is that correct?
Maybe not 5, but 4.
4.
I can't do Fridays.
Okay, so Monday through Thursday.
Yeah.
Jacob's going to attempt that and see how it goes. He's also going to pick your brains about some video ideas you guys would potentially like to see from us. If you don't want to see anything, that's fine.
Yeah,
but
tell us to go fuck ourselves.
As far as skit related stuff, we have the means to produce some pretty high quality videos. And if you liked the half-assed version of the Spider-Man video we did, which is just goofy as hell and totally stupid, if you want to see more like that, please let us know. And we'll be doing that a lot this summer too. We have the means and the time, so we're going to crank them out if you guys want to see them. But yeah.
Before we close out the show, I want to mention these 3 reviews that came in since we've last done our podcast.
Wonderful.
We got Gutbuster 10. Is it what's the this little title called at the top? I always forget what it's called.
The header?
The header?
Subtitle header?
Yeah, whatever. It says 10 out of 10. I like Baja Blast now. You're welcome.
Nice.
Jordan T81 says great, 5 stars. And also Goo Goose is great.
Okay.
I thought it said like Goosies.
Goosies.
Goose is great. He says top notch, 5 stars. So
cool.
We are very grateful for your 5-star reviews, guys.
Hey, real quick before we wrap this up, funny story. I actually remember it's brief, but Taco Bell, and because I work with Canadians on COD Connected's team. Now there are a couple Americans too, but it's only Canadians this time around. And 2 of the Canadians are Taco Bell connoisseurs like I am. And one night we went to T-Bell together. It was a wonderful, memorable experience. Well, another night we all wanted to go to Taco Bell again, but 2 of the Canadians had never had it before. So I am just telling them all about how wonderful it is. I'm like, you got to get this, you got to try this. So when we get in there, I'm describing to them all the different ways to craft meals at Taco Bell. I'm like, you can go with a numbered meal. I'm like, but I like to customize my order, and here's why. And then one of the girls' her name's Judy. She's like, what should I get? I'm like, you want a taco or burrito? She's like, I don't know. I was like, how about you get the best of both worlds? I was like, a quesadilla or a taco? She's like, I don't know. I'm like, how about you get the best of both worlds? She's like, how do I do that? I'm like, the cheesy gordita crunch. I'm like, it's a hard shell taco. Like the pita bread soft taco with melted cheese in between. She's like, that's exactly what I want. So I introduced her the way to order at Taco Bell. And I talked about her like the way it tastes and the way it looks and everything and different styles.
Did you convince anyone to get the nachos, Garrett?
I did not, no.
You bastard.
But
More people need to know about the nachos.
Yeah, I introduced them to all the different meals. My other buddy, Michael, got a quesarito, which is a suggestion as well. And she told me by the end of it, describing this, she's like, you should be like a PR rep for Taco Bell. She's like, you should just be a marketing guy for Taco Bell.
We all probably could be.
Yeah, but I was, and they all enjoyed it. I was very glad to hear that they enjoyed it too. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was just an amazing experience getting to introduce my new friends to Taco Bell.
Taco Bell. Yeah. Although it does come back to bite you later. That's a fact.
You know, it's funny. It never came back to bite me.
Oh.
Yeah. So I think it's weird. Whenever I travel, I can't poop for some reason. My body's like, I'm in a foreign environment, can't do it. So I unleashed fury the moment I got back to Casey's apartment, man. It was a disaster.
They could hear me for blocks.
Yeah. Up until I got back, I did not have the sensation of needing to poop.
You didn't go once?
I didn't go once.
Oh, my God.
So that's what anytime I travel, whether it's 10 days or a week. Now, when I went to the Philippines where I was gone for more than a week, I eventually pooped because my body's like, I'm going to explode if you don't poop. But it isn't like I'm holding it in. Like I actually don't feel like I need to. It's like my body goes into like defensive mode for some reason.
I mean, I'm the same way, but did you eat a lot of food or no?
I ate a lot of food, yeah. Actually, you know, funny enough, I only ate about a meal a day and I snacked the rest of the day because I was just on the go so much.
Yeah, what was the best food you had besides Taco Bell?
Probably the Ghost of Tsushima Japanese food. It was delicious.
Yeah, I'm a little jealous of that seafood display or Asian display.
It was incredible. Mm-hmm. That was probably the best food.
Yeah.
I didn't like the blue noodles.
Yeah, I don't like anything.
I'm not down for the blue noodle life.
Was that part of Tsushima?
It was not.
Okay. So that was just a Sony thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also had a little mini cheeseburger and chicken sliders. Those were pretty good. Blue? They were not blue, thankfully, but they were pretty good.
No, this is kind of related, but you know, green egg, the grills.
Yeah.
I was just talking to my dad one night, and I was like, "Hey, why don't we just try making green eggs and ham on this thing? Like, it just makes sense, right? It's the green egg."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little stupid story. We haven't done it yet.
You just suggested
I think we should do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
If we do it, I'll let you know how it goes.
Seems fitting with the green egg.
Because you know, like when we grew up at lunch, sometimes they would have like
on like
green eggs
on like Dr. Seuss Day or whatever. Yeah.
It's like, why are we doing this? It's just stupid. But yeah.
Nice. Thanks for sharing.
Of course.
I think that's it from us, Jacob.
Yeah. I need to go home.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a lot of editing tonight. Kind of sad about it. Thanks. But it was a pleasure as always, Jacob. I love doing this podcast for 3.5 years straight.
Yeah. We're gonna try and explore new ways to do content this summer, and just do more of it. So,
and
just because we really like doing it.
We'd love to grow it. We do no marketing at all. That's why we have not grown.
We're going to start
significantly at all. But yeah, we there's different ways to grow this channel. I don't think it's going to end at any point, and we're still very passionate about this and getting together every week and not only connecting with each other and staying in touch, but staying in touch with all of you around the world is nothing short of an honor and privilege. I know I use those words a lot, but I mean them wholeheartedly when I use them. It really is a special experience I will hold near and dear to my heart for the rest of my days, regardless of however long this whole shebang lasts. So I can't thank you enough for your continued support here on YouTube.
Weekly support.
Yeah, seriously. Here on YouTube, here on Discord, even when I'm a ghost or one of us or all three of us are ghosts just because we're busy with our lives and everything, we know you guys stick around, and we really, really appreciate that. Yeah. And please, again, comment down below anything E3 related, your top 5, some of the dumbest stuff you saw, some of the cringiest moments, anything we talked about. We'd love to hear from you. And of course, as always, the discussion will continue on Discord. We'll see you on Twitch this week. May dabble in Mixer at some point. We'll see. But we will see you on the interwebs. And we look forward to talking to you.
Indeed. Goodbye, everyone.